Welcome back.
Welcome back to being welcome back to the Back Corner Podcast.
Yes.
BC 7 BC.
7 BC.
That's the number of completeness.
Yeah.
We have reached
should
the
this
number.
be it? Should this be the last one?
I don't think so.
Let the dozens let us know.
Let us know in the comments if you want us to keep going. Rate, leave a review, not for our ego, but for the algorithm.
Yes.
Legitimately, it does help more people find us.
I am getting more people than I thought we would when we did this podcast saying they like it.
Are we going dozens and dozens and dozens at this point?
Welcome back to the dozens
and dozens
and dozens of listeners.
That'll get old if we keep a running tally and just do as many as it takes. The first 8 minutes of every episode is us just saying dozens back and forth.
But if we go dozens of dozens
of
dozens, then we can keep it at 3.
Perfect.
Probably indefinitely. So
sold.
Yeah.
So moved.
We're back with a guest, but a friend. We got a friend here, Mr. Justin
That makes
Allen.
it sound like our other guests haven't been friends. Well, I guess in your case, you haven't known all of our guests, have you?
No, I haven't. No.
I've only not known one.
Who didn't you know?
I didn't know Pat until we hung out with him.
Yeah. Usually, actually, always, one of us knows the guest pretty well.
Yeah, we're yet to have just a random stranger wander in.
Let's try to do that.
I think that's a season 2 ratings grab right there.
We should just go grab somebody.
We'll just wander around
street.
uptown.
Hey.
Excuse me, would you like to be a guest on a 2-hour podcast?
Yeah.
Because whoever's wandering around uptown who has 2 hours free, that's someone we want to talk to.
That could go really good or really poorly.
Mostly really poorly.
I'd watch it.
You might know the guy.
Yep. Yeah, you might. Yep. But Justin, welcome to the Back Corner, my friend.
Thank you.
Glad to have you here.
So glad to have you here.
Buddy of ours works on staff here as well. Also, we've traveled the world together. We've been to the Holy Land.
Yeah.
That was
It's a good time.
I don't know if we'll be able to work that into today's conversation, but hopefully you
We'll
never know.
shoehorn it in.
Yeah.
Pastor at the Salt Mine,
Yeah.
which is in
Young Adult Ministry.
where is the Salt Mine?
20 Edith Avenue, St. John, New Brunswick.
Where's that though?
Off Bayside Drive.
In St. John.
St. John.
Keep going.
Oh,
People keep
really?
asking me where it is. I'm like, I think it's
okay.
towards
On Bayside
uptown
Drive,
somewhere-ish.
there's
I don't know where Bayside
a
Drive
Subway.
is. I just moved here, bro.
Do you know Beats and Bites?
Yes.
Okay, Bayside
I bought a
Drive.
guitar at Beats
There's
and Bites.
so there's a funky little place down on Bayside Drive.
Beats and Bites. Beats and Bites. I haven't heard that since high school, so hopefully I'm remembering it correctly. I will say, since we moved back here, every time I see a bus, I got a limo that's 40. That goes
That's
through my head
great-
every time. I've heard that's one of the few commercial jingles in the history of the world that radio stations would get requests for.
Really?
Like people would call up, can you play the
Taking
St. John
it
bus?
easy when
Yeah.
we take the bus.
I got a limo that's 40 feet long.
That's a great.
I've got a driver who won't steer me wrong. Commuting is better than it ever was. I'm taking it easy when I take the bus.
The buzz. Was buzz.
There we go.
That was a well. Whoever
It's
did
super
that,
catchy.
you know, maybe we should do top 4 jingles.
There we go.
Add that to the list, Ron.
There-
won't do
we've
it
gotta
today.
do a Rushmore
We've
of
got one
jingles.
today.
I
Top
love
4
jingles.
jingles. Yeah, top 4
Oh.
jingles.
It's on the list.
Yeah,
I'm more inspired by this potential Rushmore than anything we've done so far.
I'll have to give it some thought though. I don't want it to be something off the top of my head.
Oh.
I'm going to need to really think about that.
That's
So
gotta be in the
simple,
mix.
so effective. By Menon, yep. So official sponsor today again because we only got a couple weeks left.
Yeah.
XY Men's Conference.
XY Men's Conference coming up. Moncton, April 4th and 5th.
April 4th and 5th.
It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it is. John Tyson, not John Thompson. Although I talked to John Thompson. You know John Thompson?
Yeah, I know who he is.
He'll come on the pod, he said.
Ooh, that'd
So
be fun.
We'll get him on. We'll talk
Yeah.
deliverance.
Let's do it.
So, yeah. But John Tyson is coming
Tyson.
to XY along with Justin Kendrick. Bunch of cool breakouts we've got going on.
And word on the street is also the Back Corner will be there.
That's the rumor. We're going to take
We've actually had comments asking for the back corner at XY,
Really?
So yeah.
Wow.
Wow. We're just here to give the people what we want.
Let's give the people what they need.
No,
Who are we to withhold such bounty
the back corner is coming
from the good
to
people of
XY.
Atlantic Canada?
Yeah.
The men
so-
want what they want, and they want more back corner.
Yeah, it's become clear. Also, so get registered for XY.
It's the sensation that's sweeping this narrow area of the province, from St. John all the way to Moncton.
We got a good Nova Scotian PEI contingent.
That's true.
We got some Maine people.
I'm just talking about where we're going by distance.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. Yeah.
Not exactly a road trip, although we'll be on the road and we will trip our way there. But
Quick plug on registration, though.
Yeah.
If you are a young guy between the ages of 18 and 25, the good people of King's Church are paying for your registration. So
full thing or just
I think you pay
significant offset?
I think like you pay like $20 or $30.
There you go. So Isaac, if you're listening, sign up.
Enough to say like we're covering the bulk of the cost.
There you go.
Put a little skin in the game.
We are making it
so you take it seriously,
heavily accessible to you.
And if the whatever highly reduced fee is too much for you, talk to us and we'll make sure any young guy that wants to come.
Justin has actually offered personally to do a few extra haircuts to save up some money so that you can come.
Or he knows the people to talk to that's going to be able to open the door for you.
One or the other.
We'll get you in, yeah.
I think we should have you at XY doing haircuts.
Doing haircuts?
Yeah. That'd be cool to have like an old style, like straight razor barber shop just set up somewhere there.
He cut my hair through the pandemic. You remember?
Did you really?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of black market haircuts happening.
He was doing a lot of black market underground haircuts. Yeah. That was awesome.
There you go.
2020, right in the middle of lockdown. Hey, can I get a haircut?
I'm still on the hunt for who my go-to barber is going to be in this area.
Meet me in the spot.
Yeah, I remember that.
Same time, same place.
Just a lineup of people
dealing haircuts during lockdowns. Just giving.
You want to buy a haircut?
Yeah. Do you want there's
I got a number 2 clipper fade here if you're.
Offline, I'll give you some suggestions on haircuts.
All right.
So I mean, Justin's probably your best bet. But
Well, I mean, are you still in business?
No.
My last was my friend's Scott's wife who took over your dad's business, Amy. She does a great haircut. Yes. You can't go wrong. I just didn't have enough hair to offer. At a certain point, so I quit.
I don't know if I do either. I've kept mine buzzed since the pandemic, and I just literally for the first time the other day got a proper haircut.
It looked good, by the way. I noticed when you were preaching. I was like,
Thank you.
look at this guy with a haircut and a vest.
That vest has been wildly popular. And what I've been most surprised by is how many people did encourage me next time to go ahead and rock the pocket watch with it.
You should.
I've got a wood pile in my basement I have to move in order to get to the closet door that has the pocket watch in it, but it may happen.
I have a pipe if you want.
I'll tell you, I made my own pipe. I'm a woodworker. But maybe I'll try to find that for XY, and when we're on the road, I'll do the back corner at XY with the vest and the pocket watch.
You know who's got a bit of that style is John Tyson.
Really?
He's a little bit of that kind of classic drinking a whiskey in a tap room.
Fringe member of Mumford & Sons.
Yes, that kind of look. Yeah, exactly.
He said I looked like a Mumford & Son. That was a classic Modern Family.
Was it?
Reference. Phil gets back from like some clothing store or whatever, and like he's trying to act all cool. He said I looked like a Mumford & Son.
Mission accomplished. That show's sneaky funny.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen it in forever.
I always see clips. I never really watched it, but I'll see clips come on.
One of those many shows that after about 2 or 3 seasons, I was like, I think I got it.
I got the gist.
Yeah. Very few I've watched like front to back.
So, young adult, if you're hearing this, young adult guy, we really want you at it.
Yeah. But if you're old, we'd still love to have you.
We really want you at it too.
We need you there to influence these young guys.
Not enough to pay for you.
No.
But we'd love you to come pay so that we can actually pay to cover the young adults.
It's basically communism. We're gonna. I mean, it's more Acts 2. The believers,
kingdom. It's
the
not
believers
communism.
shared everything they had in common.
Kingdom.
Yeah, it's voluntary.
It's it's volition. We're deciding to invest in Gen Z.
Absolutely.
Gen Z comes free.
It's gonna be a great weekend.
Also, speaking of kingdom. So 2 groups of people on XY. If you're hearing this and you're in recovery of any kind, so like at a recovery center in the province, and we've talked to probably your director anyway. You probably heard this, but we want to sponsor anybody that's in Village of Hope, Teen Challenge. You boys can come for free as well. So
Harvest House.
Yeah, anybody that's in Christian recovery specifically, but even if you're not, talk to us and we want you there. There's no guy in recovery that we don't want at this. So that too. So yeah, we got a lot to look forward to with that. So it's coming up here in a couple weeks. So it's
beautiful. That's our official sponsor, XY.
Unofficial sponsor
is Coke Zero caffeine free.
Shout out. You basically took everything that you really want in a drink out.
Well, it's got the bubbles and the taste, and that's all I really need. Now, lest you think that I usually don't like the caffeine in it, I have these for late at night. And the other time I drink them is times like today when I knew it was going to be a long day. So I actually took my caffeine in pill form in the morning, but I don't want to get all jittery. So if you love caffeine so much that you need more than you can get in a Coke, get the caffeine-free Coke Zero. It's delicious. Wait. Here's the refreshing sound.
There's another Rushmore. Best sounds.
Oh, that'd be
up there.
Yeah.
For sure.
I like it.
For sure.
All right.
That would definitely be up there. Another unofficial sponsor. I'm going to give a little plug to a dog food company.
Oh, yeah.
Known as Inukshuk.
Yeah.
So as we're going to hear Justin's story soon. Dogs are a huge part of his story. And he's got a little side hustle. I mean, he's a pastor first, but he's a dog food peddler.
Brent and I both own dogs. Convince us we should be feeding our dogs your dog food.
I am.
Brent's already
I've been a
on
loyal
board,
client for
Convince
4
me
years.
I should. I have a dog. She is 7 pounds. She has no hair. Why do I need to fuel her performance?
If you bought a bag of dog food that like the size that I get, it would last a year.
Yeah,
for your dog.
You think so? But my cat would get into it and have it done in a week.
Well, it's good for cats.
I have a ginormous cat.
Yeah.
Can you feed it to?
Absolutely.
Now that's appealing right there.
2 for the price of 1.
Well, it's just we didn't have to keep them separate.
It's premium grade dog food.
My dog will eat my cat food, and my cat will eat my dog food.
I will say, let me easier for somebody.
Yeah.
This is a legitimate testimonial.
User client testimonial. Yeah.
One, Justin delivers the crap to your doorstep.
There's something to be said
So
for
if you're
that.
in the Valley area,
Yeah.
there's some incentive there. Number 2, I don't know what's in it, but my dog is supremely healthy. Like he's ripped.
Yeah.
And he just looks like, other than the fact I don't groom him properly.
Should I be on this stuff?
Maybe. He's
You
probably
could
got
be.
more protein
Yeah.
in it than
It is human quality.
Is it raw?
Technically, no, because it's steam infused.
Okay.
But yeah, there's no fillers, no preservatives. It's
Just meat and stuff.
It's just all the best stuff.
Probably of a higher quality than a dog food called meat and stuff.
100%.
meat and other things.
Because it's the stuff I'm worried about.
Yeah.
No one's worried about the meat. It's the stuff.
Well, meat can be tricky too.
Well, yeah.
Like, oh, meat.
basically means it came from an animal.
What does
right?
that mean? Yeah.
My dog is supremely healthy despite how much bad human food I give him.
My wife's people eat a food called scrapple, which is a loaf of meat made out of this stuff that didn't qualify for sausage. It's a breakfast food, Pennsylvania Dutch. You probably wouldn't feed it to your dog, legitimately.
My dog might not even eat it.
Do you know there's a lot of weird data on what did I hear this about? It was on a health podcast. It was in like a biohacking. I like those podcasts, and one of them was we're more likely to take our pet through the full run of an antibiotic than we are to finish it ourselves. Like statistically, we take better care of our pets than we do our own bodies.
I guess it's because we don't feel bad when our pet is on it. Like, guys, I know a lot of people that don't like the way an antibiotic makes them
Fair.
feel.
Okay.
I'm just big on I ain't creating no super bugs. Yeah.
Right.
I'm not going to be the incubator for the next whatever global calamity.
So anyway, Inukshuk professional dog food.
Yes.
So now the people will know
Now
we were
the
here.
people
That's
will
right.
know we were here.
Inukshuk.
Canadian heritage. That's another Rushmore.
she
We need to do a
said-
top
yeah.
4 Canadian
Put
heritage
that,
moments.
mark that down.
You're catching this stuff wrong?
She said, "Now the people will know we were here." That's not bad.
Yeah.
I grew up next to the reserve. I had a lot of buddies that had a good First Nations accent.
Although, of course, the Inukshuk is more of a northern thing, right?
Yeah, they're Inuit, right? Is it Inuit?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever sometime we're gonna get they're on our list. We're gonna get Davey and David Parsons on here. And Davey, you've met Davey. Oh my goodness.
think so.
He's one of my good buddies. But super godly guy. He's on our church board actually.
And then who is David?
His dad,
Okay.
who just moved here, who was the
Picturing
Anglican
brothers with the names Davy and David, and I'm like,
he was the Anglican bishop of the Arctic
oh
diocese.
yeah, you've mentioned this guy.
Yeah,
I'd love to meet this guy.
Have you ever? So Davey was on that show with me. Have you ever seen this before? When you flip Google Earth over, have you seen the praying Inuit person in the Arctic?
No.
Yeah. So I'll show you this. This is really cool. Maybe I'll have to send this picture to you, Ron, for post. But this is really neat. See if I can pull it up on Find My or something. I think it was Davey that showed me this. I don't know. I loved it because it kind of. Can't be on maps. It's gonna be on Google Earth here.
So while he's looking for
yeah,
that,
talk amongst
legitimately,
yourselves.
tell us about what is in your dog food. What makes it special? Sell us on it.
This is a good.
Be a
plug.
shameless self promoter, Justin.
Well, it's not sold in stores.
There you
so
go.
it's premium food.
Yeah.
100% human quality, every ingredient. Like I said, no fillers,
Yep.
no preservatives, 100% meat proteins.
Okay.
Beauty.
It's good.
And how do
And
people
no shit.
find it?
Yeah, where do the people find it?
Just
DM you if you're in the
yeah,
in the area.
yeah. Just contact me somehow.
If you're in St. John,
Is there
if
like
not,
a website, social
If,
media,
well,
anything
if you
like
went
that?
to a Nook Shook, like I think it's .ca or whatever, Nook Shook Professional Dog Food, there's a reseller list. You could find me on there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so here's North America. There's the Gulf of America. There is there's the United States, and there's the 51st state, Canada. And if you look up here in the Arctic,
Flip it upside down.
do you see her or the praying?
Oh yeah, like a woman kneeling and
and
playing. That's cool.
Do you see that?
Oh yeah.
She's
Oh man, that's
Like
Isn't that
actually-
chilling?
With like the parka on. And
With
stuff.
exactly,
yeah, man.
yeah.
She's wearing the actual.
That's legit.
Yeah. Well, it's
Like
that far
kneeling.
north, you'd want a coat even
Oh,
if
wow.
you're praying.
Can you see that from there, Ron? And we'll put it on post so that everyone else can see. I don't know if you can see that or not, but do you see it? Yeah. Pretty cool. Anyway.
How long have you had this dog food empire? I'm fixated on it.
Going some 6 years now. Almost.
wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's been.
And you make it? Do you make it at home? Do you have an industrial
No,
little
it's-
kitchen
no,
you're
no.
making it at? Is it like some big huge company somewhere?
Yeah, he's got like a whole. It's underneath Crosby's molasses.
That's what they're really making it. Like my brother has a business where he makes like coffee syrups and barbecue sauce and all this stuff. And it started out not in his home, in his restaurant, and then eventually grew to an industrial kitchen or whatever.
No, it's through Corey Feeds, isn't it?
Corey Feeds in Fredericton. Yeah. Oh, I just used it. We shipped it from here all the way to Churchill.
Oh, wow.
To feed our dogs when we were up there. They were a major sponsor for me when I did an expedition with my dogs. And then basically, I just talked to them one day and said, "Can I sell this?" Because
nice.
everyone was asking me about it.
Yeah.
And it was good food.
That's kind of a theme in your life.
Yeah.
Open doors and.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get to that. Let's get to that. Let's get through.
That's pretty good. I should start selling this. I can get in on this.
It pretty much is what he's done.
I was going to say,
and
you
now he's
can't
doing
tell
it
me
with
that's the
Jesus.
first time you've made that connection.
And now
Is
he's doing it with the Lord.
It's just, it's true. Yeah.
And that's what God does, though.
No, it's a thing
He
of beauty.
redeems it, man.
Absolutely.
It's like,
You were
yeah.
wired the way you were wired.
Yeah.
And
Right.
and now
Yeah.
it's
Now it's just used for the kingdom.
Yeah.
totally. It's like Paul.
I love it.
Yeah. Have you ever imagined like being a career pastor and Christian? I've sometimes wondered like, what would I be?
What do you think? Legitimately.
The mob?
I say that all the time. It's like if it wasn't the church, it'd be organized crime.
100%. Yeah. If I was like really wicked,
Yeah.
but with all my temperament and,
You want
and
it real
my
talk?
skill set,
I think the thing
the
about
mob or politics?
I think the thing about the mob that I would find harder than the horrible stuff you have to do is the stress.
of like just always being worried
Just
to get
always
busted.
having to watch your back.
Yeah,
your
that
back.
would
Like
yeah.
I don't know
know.
whether that's because I'm a horrible person or I'm just in touch with my own potential depravity. But like the things you would have to do, I think I could sleep better with than the things people would try to do to you.
I legitimately probably wouldn't be in the mall. I'd probably be like a hedge fund manager or something.
You'd
I
totally
would,
be in business.
I would be in business. Yeah, for sure.
I'd be in entertainment.
Yeah, I would be addicted to making money and winning.
I'd be a writer for a sketch comedy show who died in his 30s.
I would love
Legitimately surrounded with cocaine and hookers.
Did you watch the SNL, any of the SNL 50th thing?
Yeah, I saw a
Did you see that part where they showed the writers outside? Did you
Yes.
see that? I was like, if I was part of SNL, I would want to be a writer.
I've always said Jesus and Chris Farley, they both died at 33. One is the guy I'm trying to be like. The other guy is the guy I have to try really hard not to be like.
Yes,
Legitimately. Like that is my tale of two paths right
yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah. You got that gear.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, totally.
Give me attention and laughs and something that makes me feel good, and I would not be able to put a break on that. I have no hope. I can't do cookies in moderation. I can't imagine.
That's why our
what cocaine
podcast is 2 hours long, and this one's going to be if we don't get on to the next thing.
let's go. So we got some segments.
Segment 0, Ron.
What did you have for breakfast?
Cereal or souffle, a little toast, or maybe some tea. Breakfast tells we need to see. Hey Ron, what did you have for breakfast?
Is this like on Vogue?
Did you make it fast? Was it pancakes or something brand new? Hey
pretty
Ron,
catchy.
your breakfast got me feeling blue.
Feeling blue?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Wait for the second verse.
That's kind of catchy. This is AI, right?
Yeah.
With cream. Got a smoothie that's like a dream. Did you dine solo or with the crew? Morning meal, we haven't a clue.
Wow.
Ron, is this your favorite of them so far, Ron? You're
That's
pretty
pretty
grooving out over there,
That's
bro.
not bad.
Yeah.
So that's like K-pop?
I don't know what that is. It's definitely pop something.
It was supposed to be K-pop. Yeah.
Yeah, like
There we
Korean
go.
pop. Yeah.
I don't listen to a lot of K-pop.
You're not a big
myself.
K-pop guy, Justin?
No,
No?
I
I
can't say that I've had
What's
it.
that?
I was aware of Gangnam Style. That's
What's the one? What's that band? Menudo?
I have no clue.
Menudo. They're like a Latin band from the 80s, bro.
No, what's the
Is
big
that
K?
what Ricky Martin
What's the
was
one that
in Menudo?
Coldplay did a song with them? The big K-pop band. That was the boys.
I got off the
The Boys?
Coldplay
Oh,
bus
there's
a
few
while
of them, I
ago.
think.
Someone, if only there was a machine that I could look to. What's the big K-pop band?
You can ask me as many
All right,
times as
I'm
you want.
gonna-
I'm not
I'll
going to
Google
know.
for you.
Google it, Ron. Who is it?
My kids are too old enough for me to know. Your
They're
kids-
massive.
Yeah, I don't
BTS.
have anyone in my home
BTS,
bringing what's
thank you.
massive into
BTS.
that. Oh, actually, I've heard of them.
Not Menudo.
It was either Menudo or BTS. What are those new kids on the block? What are those guys?
Menudo. I don't know where that came from.
That was Ricky Martin's band, I think,
Really?
way back in the day. Yeah.
Wow.
I could be wrong. I'm terrible with pop music.
Milli Vanilli. You ever seen all those memes of Milli Vanilli watching everyone be famous
Yeah.
for lip syncing now, 25 years later?
So funny. There's a great lesson in integrity there. If they would have just said that that's what they were doing, they probably would have got
Right?
away with it.
Yep. Yeah, that is a great
I think
lesson.
it's what it is. It's the hypocrisy.
A little inside baseball there. Yeah. So Ron, what did you actually have for breakfast?
Honey Nut Cheerios.
Oh,
It's you're gonna have to mix it up next time.
yeah. I mean, your cholesterol's got to be incredible,
It's amazing, I'm sure.
but your protein levels, I'm worried for your muscle tone.
I'm wondering if I should check my cholesterol. I'm 7 weeks into the carnivore. I'm 7 weeks into like butter and bacon and
fine.
cheese.
Although the butter maybe that's a little less natural.
Was it the clean carnivore or the dirty carnivore?
Oh, dirty. And
Yeah.
beef
Then-
jerky,
then-
Slim Jims,
If you're hard on the bacon, yeah.
bacon, Slim Jims, cheese,
My grandfather had to have both of the arteries in his neck dredged out at one point.
dredge.
Well, that's what they were blocked. I think one of them was completely blocked and the other was 90. But this was his standard breakfast. You'd fry up a pound of bacon, and then you would take last night's leftover potato. Well, sorry, then you take eggs, fry them in the bacon grease.
Yeah, that's
Take the eggs out, then take last night's potatoes, mix them up into hash browns, fry those in the bacon grease,
Yeah.
and then eat it all.
That's amazing.
I remember asking him once, because he made the best eggs. I said, Grampy, what's the secret of a good fried egg? He said, well, you got to have enough butter or whatever in the pan. I said, well, how much is enough? He was a one-handed cracker guy. He'd crack them, and he'd go, you throw it in the pan sideways, and if there's not enough butter for it to make it over and back and over and back before it comes to a rest, you don't have enough butter. It's like, that's deep fried, Grant. That's not about non-stick. That's about a sea that can sail. But some good breakfast, though.
Yeah, sometimes there's no rhyme or reason to it. Too. Some guys just genetically. What was the? Was it grumpy old men?
Yeah.
The dad that was like
That health
these,
documentary?
like, no, like the guy who's like super old. Was like
Yeah.
in the morning for breakfast, I eat bacon, and at lunch, I eat bacon again. And then he goes, and I usually drink my supper.
Sometimes there is and I'm no medical expert, but there is I know back when there was this big move in like the late 90s that fat was just horrible for you, because the notion was that like as if your body didn't do anything with fat,
Right.
And it just is fat and stays fat, or conversely, people who didn't understand how sugar contributed so much to fat. Like there's nothing your body wants to store as fat more than sugar.
Right.
Like if you had to pick, in my understanding, you'd be way better off to have more fat in your diet
Yep.
if you're trying to not be fat
Yes.
than you are.
That's
tons
the
of sugar.
logic behind
Yeah.
carnivore and keto.
Yeah.
So, are you doing it?
I did carnivore for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Then I switched to keto.
Yeah. I noticed this. Get the electrolytes in. I've been doing that myself.
I feel great. Like running off fats versus
Dude,
carbs.
same.
My coffee consumption, 70% cut.
Yeah, same
Just-
here. I don't need it. I just drink it
Yeah.
because I like it now. Like
I try to avoid carbs, but nothing makes me feel better than carbs.
I used to drink coffee
me
just
so
to offset
happy.
the peaks and valleys
Yeah,
from
well,
the
that's it.
carbs.
Yep.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to do the carnivore forever, but I do feel pretty good, and I've lost a lot of fat, like just burned it up. Yeah, so
I'm down too, but I need more variety. It was just.
it is hard on the palate and the head. Like you're just like, oh, sausage and eggs and cheese again.
Yeah. No, I can't do it.
It's hard to argue that vegetables are bad.
Yeah,
for you.
It does. It's something like there's been meals where I've like not ate my vegetables and be like, okay, something's wrong with this.
Yeah.
This is not.
I don't
insanity.
think a carrot is the issue.
This is insanity that no, I can't eat that. In favor of bacon.
Although, what does it tell you when you get to the point that you wish you could?
I'm there, dude.
I could kill for a carrot.
That's where I was.
I'm more doing keto now. Like I'm eating broccoli and like dense.
I've done 6 weeks of liquid only before.
Yeah.
And by the end of that, you were like, anything that I have to chew
Yeah.
is going to be a treat.
Yeah.
Like an old boot. Can I chew it?
Yeah,
Bring it on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Ron it's Cheerios are running away with it. I think we're gonna need an official sponsorship at some point, or at least put a box of Cheerios somewhere in the back corner.
Wasn't there a jingle for Honey Nut Cheerios back in the day? I'm trying
Yeah, there was.
I remember the little bee would.
Yeah.
We'll have to throw that into the mix for the Rushmores.
All right. We haven't done this in a while. Conspiracy Corner.
Ooh, here we go.
What do we got? There it is. We need the sound effect at least. I think what we've done, so for the folks at home that are worried about the stuff getting in our brains, we're not going to do the tinfoil hats, but
I missed it.
Well, I was looking forward to that. I'm not going to lie.
There we go. Foil us up, brother.
all right.
You feeling good?
Oh, that's chef right
You got
there.
like a
Yeah.
tinfoil.
Chef's kiss.
You look like a Nebuchadnezzar with a tinfoil hat. That's what I'm feeling like.
It was only 10 cubits high. Kind of sad, really. All right, cue the music again, Ron. Now that we got our tinfoil hats on.
Oh yeah, that you can feel the difference.
Yeah,
You can feel the difference.
I feel way more ready to
Filtering out all those control frequencies.
all the midichlorians and what's the stuff? What's the stuff the Scientologists?
Oh, I don't know.
What are the little alien creatures that the Scientologists are trying to purify out of their blood?
Oh, the Thetans or whatever.
Thetans, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a conspiracy we should talk about.
Oh man,
The Church of Scientology.
that's whack-a-doodle.
It's a scam.
Yes.
Those boys are making money off that. There's no.
It is somehow simultaneously a cult and a Ponzi scheme.
100%.
It's a Ponzi cult.
Yeah, for sure. We'll do that another day. All right. I think we got a. Let me see here. Conspiracy Corner number 1. There has been an uptick of sightings of UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, online.
Interesting.
Many people think that what we are seeing are perhaps angels or demons, seraphim, perhaps, not aliens. Like this woman who saw a glowing orb. Do we have the video?
Yeah, I saw this.
Yeah, this one's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's kind
actually.
of crazy.
Can you talk to me?
Too bad she's not
Can you hear me?
Newfoundlander. Hey, talk to me there. Hey,
Hey, bye.
hey, mate.
I don't think I would be asking it to talk.
Jesus loves me.
Yeah.
Look at it.
Oh, you know Jesus.
Why are you assuming it's not going to laser
know
you?
Jesus.
Why are you?
Jesus is awesome, isn't he?
Maybe she figures if it's going to laser, it's going to happen anyway. So.
Yes, he is.
I mean, if you're seeing something paranormal like that, bringing Jesus into the conversation is not a bad idea.
I agree.
God is good.
I would do that for sure.
She's hoping he's going to say all the time.
Some things don't translate intergalactically.
All the time. God is good. All right. So
I wish there was more context. Like
Well,
you could see what's going on
there
around
are
it.
there are more videos of that specific orb. I forget where that was. That was in the States somewhere.
Oh, clearly.
There was a bunch though.
The woman is speaking English, and the first thing she does is say, Jesus loves me. You're in the States.
There's one online.
I would argue probably the South.
I think that the edifier's coming through there. There's one online that shows like in Mexico at an airport. There's this thing that looks like listen to my hat.
I like it.
There's this thing that looks like a biblical description of like a seraphim. It's got like 6 wings and an eye in the middle, and it's like it's
man.
bizarre looking. I couldn't find any good video of it, but maybe we can post some options in the show notes. But all that to say, what do we think, guys? Are these are the inarguably, there is an uptick in chatter online.
Yes. Which is a different thing than an actual uptick in sightings.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But also still blurry, but videos
Yep.
of weird stuff. And there is the, like government agencies at least acknowledging we don't really know what this is. And if we do know, we're not telling you.
Yeah.
So
Which you got to wonder which one of those is scarier.
100%.
Something that they go, oh, we know what this is, and we shouldn't tell people because it'd be worse if they knew.
Right. Well, we'd rather risk looking dumb
Yeah.
and caught with our pants down than telling you what we know.
Because we know everyone will lose it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
You do?
I'm in that camp.
You're in the. I got to get this off because it's. Or I'll just do this.
There you go. I think it just makes a nice ambient noise for the segment. But
There we go.
well, there you go.
You think they know what's up?
Yeah.
That's your best one yet.
Is it really?
Yeah,
It
legitimately.
looks better now. That's not the
looks-
chef's hat.
No, it looks great.
What is the?
Hey, you look like a Hershey's Kiss.
Oh yeah, I look like a gnome.
yeah.
Like a oompa loompa.
We'll do them next on Conspiracy Corner.
Are
Oompa
the
Loompas,
little people?
Are they real?
Little people? Yeah.
I mean, you could get into the fairy folk.
I mean, there's a reason these myths exist.
Yeah.
But let's stay on track with the alien.
I mean,
alien.
that is with no context. I mean, without being able to see literally even anything around it, right? In that video, that is one of the more compelling things. Like usually people talk about orbs, whether they're talking about for either ghosts or for UFOs, that basically just look like light refracting off their screen or refracting through the atmosphere. But I mean, that had weird veiny movement stuff. Like that was pretty wild.
It's not like something that you would assume someone would just imagine up if they're trying to create like or carry forward this is what a UFO would look like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not something that's obviously something like some stuff you see and you just go, oh, this is clearly that. But I see how you interpret it as this, but it's definitely not that.
Yep.
You know, kind of the classic, like, this is Bigfoot. And like, no, that's a black bear. Or, you know what I mean? That kind of stuff. Or, you know, look at how erratic this thing is flying. You're like, that's a helicopter at night. You know, like that kind of thing. But yeah, I would, I mean, it's compelling. And if you were faking a video, it's weird.
Yeah.
To throw in the like her telling it Jesus loves me or whatever. Like that's just a strange.
you could tell that's a
detail to throw
real
in.
interaction
It
going
seems
on.
to be.
Yeah, she's concerned.
Yeah, well, she's not as concerned as she might. I mean,
She
again,
probably should have been more
that's the other
concerned.
thing. You kind of go like, are you not a little more weirded out by what this thing is? Like she was talking to it like it was a squirrel.
Yeah.
You know, come here, little buddy.
Yeah.
Jesus, do you know Jesus?
God is good all the time.
I don't know, man. It's it of course it begs that question. What do you accept as possible options, and then which one of those do you think this is, right? So if you don't allow for the possibility of something alien and intelligent,
Yeah.
and you don't allow for angels and demons
Well, how do you
or any sort
categorize
of
it?
spirit being, if you
Yeah.
take a purely materialistic view, I don't know what your other options are that don't. I mean, the other option is to go, well, we don't know, but it can't be anything significant, which is really not intellectually honest, right?
Yeah.
It's sort of like the whole atheism
right.
agnosticism thing, right?
Yeah.
You can be agnostic about what it is, but you can't really be atheist about what
Kind of have to make a call. At
well, you
some
can't
point.
say it definitely can't be something, but I don't know what it is and I can't prove what it is.
Right.
All you can say is I don't know what it is, or I think it's less likely to be this than
Yes.
that. But
Yeah. How do you process this stuff, Justin, from a faith standpoint?
It's interesting.
Do you think there are little green men flying around, or do you think it's more spiritual? or?
My current belief is that it would be more like of the like spiritual beings, either angels, demons, and they would be manifesting themselves to look a certain way. I think if a little green alien showed up, it would probably just be a demonic, being that's taken on the shape of, disguised itself. That's kind of my
pretty
take.
popular.
But honestly, it doesn't ruin my life or my mental framework to have aliens exist. I think if God, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
it would make sense. Like if you were a popular theory, and I think it carries a lot of weight, is that when you look at the ancient gods that people worshiped,
Mm-hmm.
that those
Yeah.
were demonic entities inhabiting some sort of persona, maybe that's very much based on them, maybe that they're leaning into for the sake of drawing worship to themselves, drawing attention to themselves, leading people away from God.
Well, if you go back to Genesis 6 and like Book of Enoch, though, like there's a whole line of thought within Judaism and in some aspects of Christianity, like that they weren't even demonic entities. These were the Watchers. These were like the sons of God.
Yeah.
Like they were divine, angelic beings that basically rebelled against God, and
That's demons.
and well, yeah, is it though? Because I think that's when you get into
Well,
like
it's they
if you want to talk to somebody who'd be wearing this tinfoil hat about Bible stuff,
yeah.
their category for demons is that demons are the disembodied spirits of the giants that were made when the Watchers
Yeah.
procreated with the daughters of men.
Yeah.
And they made the giants of old.
So they
And-
are souls that will be but are not yet damned.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
I guess you could- I could see
that's
that.
where again. Do I believe that? I don't. I think that's probably taking a hot take more than is helpful.
So what
but-
if we be more broad and we say hostile towards God's spiritual power?
unholy power?
Sure. If you, let's say you had just had a 10,000 year assignment running the coat check in hell or whatever, and you finally you're off your shift, you got to go back to Earth and cause trouble. You wanted to show up and draw people's attention towards you, draw worship towards yourself, draw power towards yourself, and distract people away from the Lord. There are worse options than to show up as an alien from another world and say, I bring you a technology, I bring you this, I bring you whatever.
Yep.
But I mean, to your point, like it's a logical, it
Yeah.
would be a logical strategy for an unholy power
And
to leverage.
humanity would be very ripe for that
That's what I'm
deception
saying
right now. For
like,
sure.
there's a lot of people that would sign up. I mean, we joked about Scientology before, right? But I mean, that's in that same group, right?
Whether it's demons or aliens, the church does need to have its theology and eschatology on straight. Like for if and when that becomes even more apparent, like if a being from quote unquote another planet or whatever comes, that could be like an antichrist type version, like scenario where the church is going to be like, I'm not being duped. Like imagine there was like, whether it was a demon or an alien or whatever, and it comes and it's able to do things that we're not able to. It has knowledge and power and technology, or even like the ability for medicine and all that. That's like, in our opinion, supernatural.
Yeah.
It'd be very easy to cause the church to fall away.
Yeah.
I think that's where our functional materialism bites us in the butt, though, too. Is like we tend to think, most Christians, I shouldn't say most, lots of Christians in the West today think of supernatural power as something that only belongs to God himself.
Right.
And so if anything else could exhibit that, it must be of God.
Yeah.
Whereas, like you look in the New Testament, like Simon the sorcerer, like no one was going, he can't actually do anything.
Yeah.
Like, no, he's doing stuff. He's doing it by an evil power, right?
Yeah.
Or when Jesus, when they talk about people casting out demons in Jesus' name, like the reason they even had a category for that is because there were people who could cast some demons out, at least, not in Jesus'
that's
name,
right.
right?
Yeah.
And so, or the demon possessed girl that Paul casted, like
In
because she would
Ephesus.
tell the future and make money for it. No one was going like she pretended to. It was like, no, she
she really
actually
was
could
doing
do
it.
that. And so I think that understanding that just because something has some sort of supernatural power doesn't mean it's of God.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I think is this is one of those moments where what the creation accounts in Scripture are really intending to tell us, it's important that we hold on to those,
Right.
and not hyperfixate on them as science texts to go,
Yes.
here's the thing you definitely need to take away from that. Whatever it is in existence is created by originally and subservient to God.
Yeah.
And so if some other being from some other
Yes.
dimension shows up, like, that's another thing God created.
Yeah.
As opposed to, this throws our whole understanding of the cosmos into chaos and we don't know where to start now. You go, God's God of stuff on other planets too.
Couple thoughts on that. One, on your not all powers are God's powers. The other thing I would say too is, like, if you read your Bible, like just because an angel is good and on God's side doesn't mean it's not freaking terrifying.
Yes.
Or like outside of our understanding of what we're comfortable with or any of that stuff. So
Yeah.
I think because of the, what is it called? The Fermi paradox.
I know that's a thing.
Is it can you fact check me, Ron? The Fermi paradox is like the math required to actually get from the next
Oh yeah.
habitable place to here.
Have you
is
ever
like-
listened to The End of the World with Josh Clark?
No.
Podcast series, you should check it out. It's
All right,
fascinating.
I'll check that out. But because of that, like Fermi paradox, maybe there's life, maybe there's intelligent life out there. I don't know. Don't really care. I would lean more towards, I think these are beings and entities and even maybe vehicles and technology
Yeah.
from another realm, from a realm that we've called the spirit realm. But I think that spirit realm, so to speak, is a lot more tangible and material even than, I'd use that word lightly, but
Yeah.
it's more real than we think it is because of our being so affected by Gnosticism.
It's interesting what you say about even if it's an angel, it's terrifying. I mean, if you were going to argue against whatever that lady's experiencing in the video not being a demon or an angel, either one, that's the best argument. She is not terrified.
Yeah, more likely it's a demon.
More likely it's a demon, but even still, like, again, it could be playing some long game, but generally they don't show up until they're trying to show that they're powerful.
Even the most objectively like good guy angels that show up, like Gabriel in the temple talking to Zechariah, he's still terrified.
They always start with "Don't be
Don't be
afraid."
afraid. Don't be afraid. No.
Yeah.
Like,
The other, and maybe this is what you were hinting at, but that notion too that like space, like if this has got to be something that's not from here,
Yeah.
space is only one of the options, right?
That's right. That's exactly.
So it's
Other
kind of that whole like,
dimensions
could that be a perfectly friendly amoeba from another dimension, right?
yeah.
Could that be like we talked about it, like she was talking to, like it was a squirrel? Maybe
Yeah.
that is the squirrel in the plasma dimension or whatever, right? And it's not good, it's not bad, it's just not from here, right?
Yeah, totally.
But it's not from however many miles away, it's from however many degrees of phase shift
I
away,
think
or
this is
whatever.
going to take the cake for the most nerdy thing that's been said on this podcast to date. But my belief is they are interdimensional beings of some kind. I don't know why that we're noticing or having conversations about them. I think these are probably, again, my theology tells me that they've been around and we, you know, our worlds intersect and there is heaven, the heavens and the earth. And I think maybe as the grand story is coming together, you know, again, are we close to the day Jesus returns? I don't know, but we're closer than we were.
Closer than yesterday.
I think as this is getting wrapped up, we're gonna the veil is gonna continue to get thinner and thinner. And you know, I've heard some theories like on, you know, Jesus said like it'll be like the days of Noah when I come back. And I've heard some people take that as, well, in the days of Noah, that was when like a lot of weird stuff was going on as well. Like if you read Genesis 6, you've got the Nephilim, which are the product. And did you ever watch which big director made Noah and Russell Crowe's in it? Did you see that one?
Yeah, I did see that one.
It's a little weird,
Yeah.
but one of the things I liked about it, which showed me they were like, they had some people speaking into the writing of it. Like they had these weird creatures pre-flood.
Yeah.
And it at least is a nod to the fact that when you read the first few verses of Genesis 6, it sure leaves a broad door open for what in the world the world looked like.
Yeah.
Like they're again, like, and this is where
It wasn't like this, but
Yeah.
it definitely wasn't just like it looks now.
that's right.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
Just the idea of anything else posits the possibility of something.
Yeah, and Genesis 6 sets it up as the reason. Like again, if you read it clearly, it's like it's not just human carnality and wickedness. It's because the sons of God, you know, produced with the daughters of men and created these abominations that God,
messes with the
cleansed the
genetics,
earth.
like the genetic, you know, the original genetic line was all distorted.
there's Jewish scholarship that basically makes the claim that like Noah wasn't righteous morally.
Yeah, it's genetically.
His family line
Yeah.
was the last
Yeah.
untainted human.
I've heard that.
Human line.
Which would make an understandable argument for why God went, okay, we'll just start again with them.
yeah.
Because the seed had to
Right.
go through a pure line.
Right.
Because the text seems to make it really clear that Noah was not batting 1,000 in the
that's
righteousness
right.
factor,
Yeah.
nor were his sons.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
So where my brain goes when you talk about this kind of other dimensions and things kind of starting to drift together,
This is the best. Keep going.
I think of like the law of entropy, right? Everything is running
Yep.
down. Or even if you look
Second law of thermodynamics.
if you look in where Paul talks about all creation is groaning, like just that idea, like there's something. If you think of things, if you think of the net, I don't know, the way I tend to picture the way sin impacts the natural world, right? Is it introduced some sort of like flaw into the code, and over time that just compounds and compounds and compounds, right? You got to almost, if there are different dimensions, not just in time related to the return of Christ, but not necessarily in cause directly related to the return of Christ, so much as maybe the return of Christ is triggered by the breaking down of so many things, including even whatever the layer is between dimensions that used to be impermeable,
Right. Yes.
is increasingly becoming permeable.
Right, and you're seeing more popping through.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's holes. There's holes in the fabric.
Well, no, but
of
really, like,
space-time.
and even some of the weird experiences people have or
Yes.
whatever,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Little glitches in the matrix.
right?
Yeah.
Is that causing? Yeah, that
and all
there's
of a sudden you got 1,000 Agent Smiths coming
those
out of nowhere.
those barriers breaking down.
Yeah.
And at some point, if Jesus doesn't come back and it's all going to be destroyed anyway, right? Like it's going to collapse on itself. So almost that idea of like Jesus is going to come back at the last minute and pull his, not in a rapture sense necessarily, but pull his people out of the rubble before it collapses and then rebuild the new heaven and the new earth in its place.
Yeah.
As opposed to, I don't know. I do think it behooves us
Good word.
to allow intellectual space for things we think don't fit in Scripture, but actually just don't fit in our worldview.
Yes. Exactly. And I think if we get honest about Scripture, there's a lot more room in Scripture than
lot
there
of
is in
wiggle
our
room there.
general Western world.
I mean, even back to that whole all power comes from,
Yeah.
all supernatural power has to come from God thing, like that's not scriptural
it
at
is.
all.
It is not an issue at all to fit the Big Bang.
When the Big Bang
aliens,
first came
all of
out,
that into a scriptural worldview.
when the idea of the Big Bang, if I understand correctly, when the idea of the Big Bang first came out, it was the atheist scholars who wanted to shut it down because it was seen as proof
Yeah.
of the creation
Yes,
account.
it's too.
Because the previous understanding was that time was infinite. That
Yes.
everything was in, and so the notion that it had a starting point
Yeah.
begged the question: well, then how or who
Yes,
started it? right?
Totally.
Yeah, I remember the first time I ever studied the Big Bang. I remember just sitting there going like, this sounds an awful lot like physics telling the same story Scripture tells from its physics perspective. But like, just all of a sudden, boom, and it's
Yeah.
there. Like, of
God
course, that sounds
said,
an awful
"Let
lot
there
like
be light,"
right?
and
just
Yeah.
boom, right?
there
And even
was
that light, right? Like where the literal
The
7-day
language.
people. They have they have a hard time explaining where do we get light and day and night and all this
Yeah.
stuff from before the
'Cause
actual
the-
sun's there. But if
the
you go, no,
moon-
it's an explosion of energy.
Yeah.
Like there was darkness, and now like as much as you can fit that in human language that could be understood by people thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago, boys, that sounds like a pretty decent way to try to get your head around that.
Yep. It would behoove us to embrace mystery and have some humility too on what we don't know.
I feel like we need a new segment just called
It would
Behoove.
behoove us. There's a new.
It would behoove you.
It sure would. All right, I think we had another one more conspiracy. I think we had a video setting this one up. This one's fun.
Turin, Italy, June 21st, 2015. Inside the Cathedral of St. John the Baptist, the leader of the Roman Catholic Church, Pope Francis, prays before a 14-foot-long ancient linen cloth. The occasion attracts media attention because it is the first time that the cloth has been shown publicly in over 5 years. This Christian holy relic is referred to as the Shroud of Turin.
The Shroud of Turin is this amazing relic. At bottom, it's a piece of cloth. It shows a very faint sort of image of a crucified man. And the crucified man calls us to remember Jesus' death and resurrection.
The Bible talks about the burial cloths. All 4 of the Gospels mention that Jesus was taken down from the cross. He was wrapped in linen, and then his body was put in the tomb.
According to the legends, the shroud is the cloth that his dead body is wrapped in. And because of the contact with the body of Jesus, that transforms and leaves a lasting mark on the cloth. And so the shroud is believed to be a holy relic because you don't get much more holy than the actual blood of Jesus.
No, that's the holiest.
After the resurrection,
I'm pretty sure that's the one.
the shroud completely disappeared. The first appearance of the shroud in the written record is 1389 in France. It was kept in the capital of the Duchy of Savoy, a place called Chambéry. It had been moved around from time to time, but in 1578, it was brought from there to Turin. And so it's a way for people to be in the presence of Jesus.
While people all over the world have been struck by its stunning imprint of the face of Jesus Christ, not everyone's convinced that the shroud is a genuine holy relic.
Ever since the shroud first really appears in history, there's been controversy about it, and there have been questions about its authenticity. In 1988, a group of scientists were able to get permission to get a sample from the shroud and to subject it to radiocarbon dating. And then they announced with a 95% degree of certainty that the shroud was medieval.
And wow, that's a tremendous blow to everybody who thought that the shroud might be real. But then, as time went on, experts began to look at it, and it was finally determined that the test was taken from the very end of the shroud, not where the image is. And it really turned out to be a patch that had been woven by ancient weavers. They weaved it back together on that particular area. When those guys came out with their carbon-14, they tested the wrong piece. Nobody's proved it a fake yet.
Oh, it was William Shatner.
Interesting.
Yeah. Good job.
I know my Shatners.
Did he die?
No, he'll never die. One of them little space aliens going to come get him and take him home.
Beam me up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's still going.
Yeah.
Take him to
Can you
another
fact check that, Ron? Is
time
William Shatner
dimensions.
alive?
Spock's gone.
What Shroud of Turin, genuine artifact or Christian hoax?
Well, I thought about this before, so I looked up the verse because this is what that always got me. That in John it says that when he was when they came to find Jesus risen, that there was 2 pieces of clothing, right? There was the linen that his body was wrapped in, but then it says in verse 7, and the face cloth, which had been on Jesus' head, was not lying with the linen cloths. So I
Was not lying with
was
it?
not lying with them. So there was 2 separate pieces. There was the one that covered the face, one that covered the body.
Well,
So-
to be fair, that doesn't say that the other one didn't cover
Yeah.
It could have covered all of them and then another additional cloth
I'm
over
just
the
saying
face.
that verse has always made me go, how does that work? Like, you know,
Yeah, I've never taken the biblical text to be the main problem with that, whether or not, like, if that is genuine artifact, like, I don't think the Bible torpedoes that necessarily.
like a genuine artifact, like of Jesus. Like,
yeah, like if that
right,
really
like
was
that
on his body,
is
I
the
don't
robe
think
that
I
he
don't
was-
think
Right.
the Gospels say that couldn't be. Yeah, like based on the information we have, it doesn't exclude that.
Right.
But that said, there's a lot of things that would have to maybe be proven right for that to be a genuine artifact. But
I of all the conspiracies we've ever talked about here, this is the one I probably have the most knowledge of, which does not mean I have a lot of knowledge of. but because of how it intersects with my fascination with Catholicism.
Yeah.
In fact, there's an amazing episode of the Exorcist Files podcast all about the Shroud that I listened to recently, and I will say I do not know a compelling argument for what else it could be.
Yes.
Right.
Because no one can explain how the marks got on the cloth. It's not paint. It's not primitive photography, like all these other potential explanations.
They've proven that is blood in a specific, like, quick moment under extreme powerful light is the only way that could have coagulated that way. It just had to be like vaporized.
The moment
almost.
that he came.
Right. To me, it's one of those things where it's not a hill I'd ever die on. It's never going to be an article of faith. But it takes almost an equal conspiracy theory
against
to
it?
explain it away as to explain. Like the options are all absolutely wild.
It is a problem. Like, it's like, I don't, yeah, that's right. It takes as much mental gymnastics to make it not.
Like some master artist with access to nuclear weapons
Yeah.
in at least medieval times, but arguably way before, made this.
There's no explanation for how that was made. Like
and the fact, to me, this is one of those things, sort of like in the Gospels where people look like idiots, that lends to its credibility. The fact that it was hidden away for so long lends to its credibility.
Why?
Well, if I had the burial shroud of Christ, I might go, I need to protect this. If I faked one, I would want everyone to know I had it.
Fair enough.
So I could get from it whatever that was.
Yeah.
Now, when they were positing the medieval date for it based on the faulty dating test, then it was sort of like oh yeah, look what we just found. Like it fit that a little bit more. But everything I'm familiar with in terms of the current dating not only doesn't validate the medieval date, but actually skews much earlier. And if that's the case, if the church or some Christians sat on this thing for centuries, to me that it literally did, as opposed to claim they did. But if they actually did, that lends more to its credibility too, of going like, if you had that and you faked it, why would you fake it in order to hide it for generations, right? Like you might say, oh yeah, I found this 50 years ago and now I'm trotting it out, but you're going to do it in your lifetime. Like Joseph Smith and his gold plates, right?
Yes.
Right? Like you're not going to wait. You know what? 400 years from now, this is really going to be pretty cool. And some guys are really going to get a lot of cred at the local synod or whatever for bringing this in. I will say this too. The first time I ever read about the Shroud, I was in middle school. It was in an episode or an edition of National Geographic. Yeah. And at that time, it was more of a curiosity. I would love for it to be true.
Yeah, same.
But I don't know if it is. But I would love for it to be. I think that'd be beautiful.
Okay, you had to make a guess. Like, let's pretend that like the Lord Jesus is going to come back tonight, and here's the quiz: is it real or is it not? Yes or no?
Yeah. Yes. It's not a strong yes, but it's
if I had to make a pick,
I'm over 50%.
I'm 60-40 yes myself.
Yeah.
The just like the fact that blood is light burned on there. Yeah. And one thing I heard on a podcast recently actually about the Shroud, it's not just this light burned on there, but it's on there in such a way that it would be like you would have to have some kind of technology that would be like a press where it would go poof, the same. It's basically like the distance that the blood is into the fabric is the same, like micro, like nanometer the whole way across the board. So even if it was Middle Ages,
you need power and pressure in radical amounts at the exact same time.
like it couldn't have been done by a hand. Is what the point is. Like nobody could have drawn that or painted that. Like you would have needed some kind of technological press of high pressure, high heat, light, and blood.
The thing that I love about
crazy
the Shroud and even ideas of relics and that kind of stuff at this point in my life. Although I do love the idea that related to what I'm about to say, that there can be some sense of the presence of God or the holiness of God or whatever imbued in a thing. I grew up in such a spiritual environment where physical things were not in any way receptacles of the divine. That in some ways that was, I'm sure, very unintended in the church culture I grew up in. There was this, again, kind of that Gnosticism, right? That complete disconnect. And the older I get, both in terms of life experience, but even just frankly in terms of my physical body starting to have the issues that a body has in middle age and that kind of stuff, the notion that the separation between the spiritual and the physical is not, it's not even meaningful, let alone complete.
Yeah.
That notion that when we talk about heaven touches earth, we mean including the tangible of earth.
Yeah.
Like things like the shroud, things like going to the Holy Land and walking some of the places Jesus walked, some things like, relics, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The idea of a higher understanding of sacred spaces, all that stuff, I think, if not of value in and of itself, it's of value in what it reinforces to my mind, that my physical body and the physical world and my physical reality is not some discount secondary forum with which to interact with the divine.
Yep. When we were in Israel and we visited the Dome of the Rock, and that's where the historical, that's where the temple used to be, and now there's a mosque there. Yeah. And I remember, like, again, if you ever go to Israel, and I think we've talked about this, Justin, like, it's a mixture of emotions. Like you're blown away by the historicity of everything, and like, wow, this stuff really happened here. Like, and like, this is tied to that, and it brings the Bible to life. But there also is maybe a reckoning you have to do with like that. Okay, like I remember, how do I say this? I remember standing at the Dome of the Rock and looking at it and be like, Lord, why don't you just go ding and like just knock this crap out of here, and like, this is your spot. Yeah, this is where you died and rose again. And why do they get to? I was kind of having a moment, and I felt the Lord say, if I wanted to build a shrine again, I would have. Yeah. But I raised a whole new set of temple, and like, just again, putting like that the Lord chose to embody people. Yeah. That's massive. That said, it doesn't mean that, things don't carry significance or even power. Yeah. And I don't think it's beyond God, like I use this tongue in cheek a little bit, to like plant a little Easter egg. But I'm punching like that for the people of God. To like, I wonder if.
But for me, that's kind of what I was trying to articulate is, I believe that my physical body and your physical body is the primary connection point between the divine and the creation, other than the incarnate body of Jesus himself. But even then, it's because it's his incarnate body. And opening my brain to the possibility that there can be some sense of, again, whether you're talking the lowest level, you can see things that Jesus touched, or things that somehow are imbued with him in some way. I go, if that's possible, for example, like if that's the shroud, if that's really what Jesus was wrapped in, it's not just another cloth.
Yes.
Right. And I think it's got to be not
pretty
just
significant.
Right. And not even just historical significance. Like, I think there's got to be spiritual significance to that. If that can be true for an inanimate object, how much can it be, more so can it be true for the object that is my body? So that when it comes to Christ living in me, I don't just mean my heart, but somehow my physical body is a connection point. With
There's a tension to be managed there, though. Like, it's like, the significant thing for Christ even is his body, though. And it's like, hey, I my scars are the thing
he
that
has
I'm
to
showing.
take on body in order to accomplish.
But he didn't. He left it in the tomb. You know what I mean? I think that's the thing to hold in tension, is like, he's like, if that is the shroud or whatever the burial garments is, like, I'm not going to need this.
No. And that's why I say, I don't think you put it ahead of the physical body. Yeah. But I think if you go, well, if this can be, how much more must this be, right?
Yes.
And so for me, it's kind of one of those, like, it is the low level thing that sometimes just entertaining the possibility of this lower thing drives home for me the reality of this much higher thing.
It's a handlebar for us.
Totally.
Almost.
But that doesn't require me, like, I think a lot of times what happens is we have the spiritual and the physical, and we think that when we come into relationship with God, basically our spirit bifurcates from our body and somehow joins his.
Right.
And it's like, no, those actually, in the same way, this is why our Christology matters so much, right? That not even in God himself is the human and the divine completely separable, right?
Yeah.
And so if God now has a physical body,
Yes.
not God did,
Now.
not an avatar of God, but if
Yeah.
God currently has a human body and is fully divine, then whatever God has for me, my human body is not categorically a disconnect from that or a limitation on that. And if Christ, if the fullness of God was pleased to dwell in Christ, right? Well, that clearly would be a reference that it has to at least include his physical body, because he is the fullness of God. Like we're talking about the incarnation, right? Then why would there not be at least some sense in which the fullness of God is pleased to dwell, not just in my spirit, but in my physical body, and what that can mean for my health, what that can mean for my struggles with sickness and pain, what that can mean for the temptations that are most often given rise to in my body.
Yeah.
Like the implications of that are massive. And for me, just positing the possibility that the divine can meaningfully connect with, infiltrate, saturate physical objects just massively increases my faith for what he could do with my actual body.
It's helpful to just like to envision Jesus as embodied. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like when I pray to him, I'm not praying to an ether. Or I'm not praying to a mist or a consciousness.
Yes.
But he has a body. Actually, speaking of that, AI, our good friend, took the Shroud of Turin and the image on that and generated like a picture of what that man on the Shroud of Turin would loosely look like. Do we have the picture?
Wow.
So that's the face of whoever that shroud was around, or roughly, like not exact, but
I mean, even if you're taking the most low view of it, that's at least the model who sat for. I mean, if you were trying to explain it completely away, that's the guy.
Yeah, it's about 6 foot tall, and of all of the posited, this is what Jesus looks like, I have the least hard time with that one, to be honest. I don't know why.
The 6 foot tall part's a stretch.
Yeah, it says like he doesn't necessarily stand out in a crowd was one of the things, and that's a little bit tall for a first century Israeli, but or first century Jew, but
although you get legitimate thought, this is post crucifixion.
Yeah.
If you had hung by your body weight, for hours,
a little stretched
Could you
out.
gain a few inches there?
Probably.
I bet you could.
Probably
Yeah.
could, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I've never seen this picture before.
Isn't that a cool image?
It is.
Yeah. I mean, picture him with eyes of fire.
Wow.
Yeah, and a sharp double-edged sword coming out of his mouth, and hair as white as wool, and a voice like many rushing waters. Was that one of the other descriptions? Feet of bronze.
Yeah.
In Revelation 1, if you're wondering. Yeah.
Wow.
Fascinating.
Well, I hope it's real.
I do too.
I'll be honest. I haven't I don't know about it in the depth that you guys.
Do the deep dive.
Yeah,
if you're listening to this, Google it.
I'm
man.
provoked.
There's some-
I'm gonna do some deeper stuff.
It's fun.
Exorcist Files in the last like 2 or 3 months, they put out an episode. They had a guy, one of the guys who actually was involved in this testing,
Talk about it.
come on and talk about like the scientific testing of
There's
it
a
and stuff.
good one on Blurry Creatures podcast as well. They just recently had a guy on that was a shroud expert. And-
Bigfoot is blurry.
Yeah.
Mitch Hedberg. There's a large out of focus monster running around. I gotta tell you, the theory with tinfoil is that it keeps heat in, and that theory is proven.
Yeah, I'm hot.
I'm sweating, bro. Alrighty.
Yeah. In our time we got left, Justin, you've had a really cool story. Just like it's been a wild ride, especially in the last, handful of years. God's got a hold of your life
Yeah.
in a beautiful way. It's been fun to watch, like not just your own transformation, but now your ministry growing and evolving. And man, give us the not the Coles notes. I mean, not the encyclopedia version, but somewhere between, the Coles notes and 12 chapters.
The long form magazine article, but not the full novel.
Yeah. Give us your story.
Yeah. Wow. I guess we'll start at the beginning.
It's a good place.
Classic sort of story for me is like I grew up, the classic prodigal son sort of thing. Grew up in the church. Man, I remember I deeply loved Jesus when I was a young boy. Like I did. I remember having encounters and like he was so real to me when I was a kid, even like in my grade 9 year sort of high school. And looking back now, like one of the reasons, like I'd obviously like got caught up with, looking for male role models and mentorship in my life that time. And the guys that were really stepped up to do that, high school were the older, guys involved in drugs and, doing different, the drugs and the dealers and, sort of gangster kind of guys, and, I took that path and for 18 years,
Fell in with those guys.
Oh yeah. I went in hard, I just fell in with everything I had. And I've always been that kind of an extreme person. Like if I'm in, I'm in.
All the way.
Right, all the way. There's no, and so when I was in. I just took on that life. And it was, drugs and alcohol, all the parties, all the things. I always tell people, I'm like, use your imagination and then you could probably go a little bit farther. It was bad.
Yeah.
It was real bad.
For how long was this? Is this window of time?
18 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
How old are you, bro?
I'm
same age as me, I think.
I turned 41 in 2 days.
Oh, wow.
I'm a year
Happy
older than you.
birthday.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So
For a guy who's lived that long and
Yeah.
that hard, you don't look that old.
yeah.
Handsome dude, man.
So that's just,
I won't lie to you.
that's the spirit, right? We were talking about
Arguably
God.
the most, but probably more like the second most handsome guest we've had so far.
Oh, yeah, we had,
Shout out Dr. Ben
Ben's-
McDonald. I guess it depends on whether you like
not
the
a
clean
handsome
cut or
one.
you like the
Yeah, it's two
bezel.
different styles.
It is.
We're gonna
Yeah,
put together
it is,
a
yeah.
calendar. The back corner calendar.
The back corner bros.
We get a
Listen,
couple
guys,
firefighters.
is
We had
it-
Pat Gordon on too.
There we go.
Yeah,
Dude, that
studs.
guy's
Yeah,
Look, some
he
studs
is,
on
man.
here.
I love Pat.
From a who I wouldn't want to fight perspective, easily. Pat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't say.
No, I wouldn't want to fight Pat.
I'm going to get Christian Savoy on
Yeah,
here.
yeah. I don't want to fight Christian either.
He'll take the top, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
in,
no
a
one-
fist, in a fist fight. In
No
a,
one- no one
in
wants
a
to
all
fight.
bets are off, Pat.
Yeah.
Pat feels like he would gnaw your throat out if it came to
or
it.
he's going to find a weapon.
Yeah.
A
Oh,
tank,
yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So 18 years.
Yeah.
You're doing all the stuff everyone can imagine and more.
Yeah.
Crime?
Yep. Crime. Yeah, I mean, nothing like crazy. I mean, I don't know. This is the other thing. People are like, what's your crazy scale? Some people
all
call
relative,
It's all relative.
Well,
so
and I
for
think
me,
once you bring a lot of drugs into the picture, that
know,
scale gets pretty skewed, right?
yeah. But like, were there times in my life when I'd roll around with a duffel bag with crowbars and gloves? Yeah. Did I have weapons on me? Yeah. Was I, involved in stuff that I guess, yeah, there is some stuff I do need to be careful of now that I think about it.
Did you own your own private jet and occasionally throw people out of it?
No, not
So
that
somewhere
far.
between a duffel bag full of crowbars and your own private jet that you threw people out
Yeah,
of.
but
All
there
right.
was definitely a level
gives
of
us a range.
things that I'll just say this: if I had gotten caught doing, things that I was doing, I would have been looking at a 7 to 10 year jail time at various points in my life.
Wow.
Yeah, and then, like getting back to the you talked about earlier, like the mob thing. Like I remember for many years of my life that was a reality. Constantly worrying, like 2 steps, look back, 2 steps, look back. Every whisper, every creak, every crack. You're in your house and you hear something, like you're out the window, like always worried. Every time you meet someone, you think that there's a potential of getting robbed.
What a terrible way to live, eh?
And it was,
Stress.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'd need something to help him unwind.
So yeah, and meanwhile I'm doing that too. I was traveling the world right out of high school, I got a one-way ticket and took off for 2 years and just, traveled around the world, and I had various jobs and, but it's funny, like the Lord was with me. It's hindsight's such a crazy thing, because now being in relationship with the Lord, having those conversations with him about my past, and then like him showing me the ways that he intervened in my life. And it was like, it's just wild stuff.
Never left you.
Never left me. Yeah. No, never left me, protected me. And yeah, I had lots of friends that didn't make it. I've been around.
That must give you a lot of hope for, like, especially now that you're part of the, not just part of the church, but you're working within it, and there's a lot of parents that, are in the middle right now of like my son or my daughter's like in that space. Like, it must give you a lot of hope for, hey, don't underestimate God's ability to, 100%. Especially when the seed of the words in your kid at a young age. Yeah. And it can probably look pretty bad for a while, but.
Well, do you ever find yourself having that conversation? Just going like, I went way further than your kid's gone yet.
Well,
and God
it's actually one of the things I feel like God has blessed me with. Like, there's an anointing, so to speak, when I talk and pray for parents that are dealing with that.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's just, I always feel it. I'm always surprised, like, because I'll be praying and I'm like, oh, there's just like disconnect for a minute where I'm like aware of the prayer and I'm kind of like, it just feels different.
Yeah.
But like, to pray for moms and dads who are contending and to impart faith.
Do you ever have that moment when you're praying for someone where you are listening to the prayer?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Like one of those, like you're almost like you're a spectator.
I think that's what I was getting at. Yeah. It's like, I'm like, oh yeah, it's just all sort of flowing, and I'm like over here paying it, like watching it. Yeah. But
it's 18 years, right? Like 18 years is not a short window. You got some parents that are in the multiple decade. When is my son?
And all the things, like, you could be, you're getting arrested, you're getting chased down, you're, dealing with people, you're alcoholic, you're a drug addict, you're running the streets at all hours of the night, like completely disconnected from the family. Like, so to be able to tell them, like, and also, like, here's the thing, man, like, I had a praying mom. Right. And I can't deny, like, I remember my mom praying, like, telling me to pray. She got to the point where, like, I think a lot of parents get to, they try to pray specific things.
Yeah, there's nothing. And
it's like, Lord, pray, my kids, like, I pray for their sobriety, and you're praying all these specific things because you're aware of the situation.
Yeah.
But for me, it got to the point with my mom that I was so far gone, she had no idea what to pray for.
Right.
So she started contending for years, just, Lord, encounter him in such a way that he would not be able to deny you.
Yeah. So talk to us about that journey.
Happened.
Give us, so how did that start to, how did you go from being just off?
Yeah.
Literally in the woods in your mind, your spirit, and literally in the woods.
Yeah.
Like, how do you go from, how did you see that prayer your mother prayed? Shout out to praying moms and dads and grandparents.
Don't give up. Just keep contending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I take a lot of comfort in the scripture is, where God's like, because of your father David, I'll have mercy on you, or your grandfather, and like, I just think God honors family trees in ways that we can't even imagine. And again, I think human agency matters and our choices matter, but I think also, like, I am going to decide for my kids at least in part of it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just I'm going to stay connected to the vine. If you can stay connected to me, hang on.
Absolutely.
So give us that story, man. Like, how did the encounter, like, you got a
duffel bag full of crowbar.
Yeah.
And then.
So,
and other odds and
other odds and ends. Yeah. Well, so
dog food.
The Lord intervened a couple times, kind of freed me up from that. So I was living, basically full-time drug dealer for years, and in the party scene. God intervened one night, and
what did that look like?
So that was actually, there's been a few radical encounters, and it's funny because you think a radical encounter is going to change your life and you're going to follow Jesus.
Yeah,
no,
it's not.
It's like it's like the scriptures. All the people that seen him, encountered him, but yet chose to just keep doing their own thing. You can encounter anyway. That's just that's a side note and another topic.
I think we
So the rich man and Lazarus, right?
Yeah.
Send someone back to tell my brothers, like, people have been telling your brothers.
Right.
Yeah. Even if someone rose from the dead, they would not believe.
Yeah. I always think of Joshua speaking to the Israelites.
Yeah.
You know, like, choose this day. Like, they had witnessed. What did they just witness?
Yeah.
And then he still has to go to them. Well, you guys pick. You still got to choose. That's just like wild. But anyway, it was a night when I was in Fredericton in an apartment, and I was living as a girlfriend at the time. And it's one of these things, like, it was like she came out into the living room, and she spoke to me, but it wasn't her. Like, I was just like seeing this like radiant white.
Whoa.
You know, it was just like, and he just shook me and just spoke to me. It was just like, this is not the path that God has for you.
Huh.
Just like,
wow.
And it was like 48 hours later, I'd quit. I was gone. I never went back to that city until the Lord called me back there.
So
to like redeem it.
Where
like,
did you go after that?
I moved back to St. John.
That was a vision almost.
That was like, yeah. And then
Does she remember this?
So she has a weird.
Like, was it actually her?
Well, so she has an interesting take on her end, where she's just like, kind of like her side of it was like, I felt like I was being controlled. I don't quite remember it. Wow. She was a very hazy, and it impacts her.
Yeah.
Like, I remember talking to her about it, and she would like break down. Like, it was very impactful for her.
Whoa.
So not like a vague, I don't know what was going on, but like an intense.
Yeah.
I wasn't. All the way. In control.
But yeah, so I like, basically that was the moment I left my job. Well, right. Yeah. So I mean, this is true, and this is stuff that, you know, you can take it or leave it. Not like, you know, there's depends on what your grid is for these sort of things. But the result of that encounter shifted my trajectory like 180. I left Fredericton, and I got out of, like, I went to the guys, was like, I'm done. Returned product, paid everyone out. I'm done. I left, and I was like back into St. John. 48 hours, I got out of my
lease. Leave Fredericton to get out of the drug scene. And come back to St. John. I appreciate that. That's poetic justice.
Well, well, the way it worked is because I was actually connected in St. John, shipping stuff.
This is where you go to get in trouble.
But there was grace, man. The guys were good. Everyone, it was just like there was a grace on it. No one even contested it. It was like, okay, cool. You're out.
Which is a miracle in and of itself.
Yeah, when you get kind of that far in, usually people will try to leverage you, and they will threaten you, and they will, because you're making them money.
Right.
And I was making some people money. So, but yeah, that shifted. And then, I went to hairdressing school and did that. And that's kind of how the road started to lead me. I was on my way. I got a job offer in Vancouver to go work out there as a hairstylist. And along the way,
for the listeners, your dad has owned like a hair studio for years and years, and so that was like
the family business.
That wasn't a vision as well, like go cut hair necessarily.
No, that was
the family
what
business.
do I do now? And it was familiar, and it was like follow in the footsteps. Here's a path. You could become a hairstylist, and you could potentially own the salon one day. And
you are
a golden ticket, you know,
because of that factor. One of the most interesting people in the world, though. Where it's dogsledder, pastor, does the best highlights in town.
Former dog food distributor.
Current.
Current.
Former literal dog food distributor. Former metaphorical.
Wink, wink. But so you went to Vancouver.
So I didn't, and this is the interesting part. This is one of those, like, the Lord, you know. I was driving across the country. I wanted to take 3 months to get there. I was going to go north and south, like hip up and down, to see the country. And I got to this place called Churchill, Manitoba. It's the farthest place
known
you
for
can
their
go.
polar bear attacks.
Yep, polar bears and northern lights. And
isn't that the place where everyone
and
leaves their car doors unlocked?
Yep.
So that if a polar bear attacks, everyone can hide in whatever car is closest.
Wow.
Yeah, and the doors.
Yeah.
Like, people, you know,
for your homes.
Home doors are open. Oh yeah, it's legit. You know, I don't think they don't like advertise it, but like, it's just kind of
good
like
way to get people to move to
come to Churchill, maybe get eaten.
Yeah,
doors are always open.
Yeah, but there's some unwritten rules within the community when it comes to the safety in bears, and that's definitely one of them. So, that basically, I just did a trip up there. I was going to go for 4 days. And then those 4 days, I met a guy. He had a bunch of dogs. I mean, I don't even like dogs at this point.
Like, there's no passion there.
I never knew a dog, never had a dog, didn't care about dogs, had no relationship with dogs. No.
Didn't grow up with one?
Nope. No. Wow. I had zero knowledge of dogs. But I was a traveler. and I wanted to have experiences. So this guy offered an experience. Work for me for 6 weeks. In those 6 weeks, you will see everything that you want to see as far as like, you know, this community. So I signed and said, sure, that doesn't affect my plan. I said, I'll be there in 3 months. So in those 6 weeks, oh my goodness, everything changed in that moment. I remember thinking my whole life had been a lie up until this point.
Really?
When I got on the back of those dogs and connected with those dogs, I was
Just like there was like a...
there was something that clicked that I was like, this is real life. All of that was like, that get rid of that.
What
It was
now that
so crazy.
because now that you don't have dogs and all that, you look back like what in God's sovereign way of moving you from A to B, like what do you think that was that, you know, like there was obviously like a sense of purpose.
Yeah, there's a purpose. That was like, you are more than just about you.
Okay.
When you live with the dogs and in that environment, your life becomes so much bigger than you.
You're part of a pack.
Yeah, you're part of like, you were part of a team and you have to depend on one another. There's a relationship, to the land. So now I had a respect for nature that I never experienced before, and with animals and this like relational thing. And I think at the foundation, that was it.
Yeah.
There was something more meaningful to me. Like those 18 years I'm talking about, like I hated people. I was so selfish. And I like, if you couldn't serve me,
right.
If you were my friend, it was because it benefited me.
Right.
Period.
Yeah.
You know, in some way. And so I was really bad to people. And so
There's got to be something just really primal about it too, eh?
Oh yeah.
Like just that whole like, I don't need a Walmart to do this.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's me, it's these dogs, it's the land. We're going to get where we need to go. We're going to survive. We're going to like just something that strips away all
being
those.
creative.
It should be said, just in case we're not super clear here, you're talking about like a team of huskies, dog sled. That's what we're referring to.
Yeah.
I know we know you,
right.
But we got people here like, what are you talking?
They had a border collar. They were doing agility.
You guys just hanging out like you and tricks.
So maybe I should. So the guy that I met had a dog kennel. So we had, I think at the time when I got there was like 30 dogs.
Yeah. So picture the Arctic.
Yes.
Picture a bunch of huskies.
Sled dogs.
Now we're on point here.
And then I get a job there guiding, running, looking after the dogs, taking people for rides. I'm out, learning to live in the woods, cutting down trees, building stuff, fires, surviving in the Arctic.
I'm hazarding a guess that out of the dozens and the dozens of our listeners, none of them have probably done the dog sledding thing.
I mean, I
haven't.
I've in my life known, I think, 2 people, including you.
Yeah.
Who, I mean,
That's
never,
twice as many as I know.
There might be people who like once on a vacation, but I mean, in terms of like had a team and ran them. Yeah.
Yeah. So for our few American listeners, it's like we don't haul dog sleds. You got to go. You got to go way.
No, even here, it's not a common thing to run across.
Well, that was I couldn't do it here.
Yeah.
I could, the end of, just to skip to the end of a bit, but I showed up here in New Brunswick with 12 dogs.
Right.
And then had puppies that first year. So I was living in the woods here with 21 dogs.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we just didn't have the weather.
Right.
And
Not
I think
enough snow.
And I think honestly, I'm a bit. I think it was, not to be selfish, but I think the reason we never had good winters for the last 4 years is because I'm telling you, if we had winter like this winter right now that we're in, bro, things would be a lot different. Because I showed up here and I was like, there's no winter here. There's no snow.
Jesus caused global warming?
For at least for me. In Hatfield Point, New Brunswick, there was a little hot spot, man. I don't know.
You had no snow.
Yeah. But anyway, getting back to that.
So you're getting into dog sledding, you're guiding,
getting ready and at that point I'd quit my whole life.
Right.
I had a house here, sold my house, sold my vehicle, sold everything. I abandoned everything to commit fully to this life. And that was ultimately 6.5 years that I stayed in there, up in the subarctic.
Living that dog life.
Living that dog life, man.
Wow.
Cutting hair on the side.
Yeah.
Spending people hair, not dog hair.
Yeah. Well,
did you ever get into doing dogs?
No, not like grooming as
you don't really groom them the same way.
Not the same way, but there is like, especially with their paws. Yeah. You have to. You got to. I took my hair clippers and you clip all the hair out. Yeah, it's actually way more technical.
There's a YouTuber I watch who grooms dogs.
Okay.
And one of those like, why? I don't care about grooming dogs. I don't even have a dog you need to groom.
It's fascinating.
But I do find it. She used to. Well, and the reason I asked because she was a hairdresser, like a people hairdresser, and I think she started doing her own dog's hair. And she's like, I like dogs way more than people. And now she's got this big YouTube channel up in
That's a
Niagara
real thing.
Falls, maybe.
Yeah.
So 6.5 years.
6.5 years.
And then
What
start
brings that to an end?
Yeah, start the journey.
Yeah.
The journey home.
So this
multiple ways.
is what happens. I basically raised a team of dogs because I want, at that point, I'm going to be a professional dog sled racer. And I'm going, my next stop is Yukon, Alaska. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yukon Quest was the
That was the one you wanted?
To me, that's the real race. But
The idea
We're gonna do
is political now, man. It's all commercial.
For Rushmore, we're going to do your top 4 dog sled races.
yeah, but so this is the thing. Yeah, I'm training my team, and it's training in that time of the year look like you're going out for days on end. So I spent more time with dogs than people, and so I'm out on the trail. I think we were 3 or 3.5 hours into a run, and I'm just in the middle of the wilderness, and I hear your name as
crazy.
loud
Seriously.
as we're talking, Brent Ingersoll. And the thing is I didn't know who you were.
You knew of me, maybe.
Well, yeah, I knew the name Ingersoll because Dawn, my mom, we were
Right.
connected to
My cousin Brad.
Right. And I knew, and so, but I was like, Brent, I couldn't anyway, and it tripped me out because at the time I didn't realize what it was. Did I literally hear a voice? Because I had 3 hats on and you're
not like
wilderness and
there's not in the middle of a long time of prayer as you fast
No.
and seek the voice of your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
This is the Lord answering my mom's prayer.
Yeah.
He is interrupting my life and encountering me in a way that I would be forced to make a decision. Couldn't deny it was God anymore, but I had to make it. Then it was like it forced a response in me, and that began a journey where I was like, okay, is this Brent? Like, who was this name? Who's this guy? Why did I hear that? Did I hear it? I remember I remember stopping the team, taking off all my gear and listening.
Because you heard.
I'm like,
it in
someone's
your
here.
ears.
Someone is here. Like, whether I heard what I think I heard, but I heard something, someone's yelling at me, trying to get my attention. I thought maybe it's a trapper.
The traditional greeting of Brent Ingersoll.
Well, it's just someone was yelling at
That's what
me.
they yell in the north.
Everyone says it.
Brent Ingersoll.
Yeah.
That's you
Brent
see a
Ingersoll.
friend going
It's
by.
hello and goodbye.
Yeah, it's like aloha. It
Salute.
means both.
Salute, yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, man. So that was really the pivotal moment.
Because you weren't living for the Lord at all. Like, at that
No,
point,
goodness,
like you were
no.
still, even though you
Oh.
found a purpose with the dogs.
Oh,
and
I
you
was still
have a new
very
life,
much
you were,
connected to everything that I brought everything with me. It just
There's a lesson. There's a
looked-
sermon.
Oh yeah, it just looked a little different.
Wherever you go, there you are.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
You'll find it. You can't run away from things. You'll bring
Wow.
them. And so, yeah. But I remember I got home from the run. I called my mom.
Seriously.
Yeah, first
Okay.
thing I said, "Mom, who's Brent Ingersoll?"
That's crazy.
And she goes, "Oh, it's just this, new young pastor at the church, and you should come when you come home." Mom always invited me to church.
In that did you tell your mom like why you were asking in that? Like
I did after. Yeah, I remember. I said, "Mom."
after like at the end of the conversation or after like 3 years later.
No, because she's like, "Why are you asking
Yeah.
me?" And I said, "Because I heard his name."
And she starts laughing.
Yeah, crying. I
She's
can't
like,
quite
I said it to Jesus.
Yeah, I can't quite remember how the conversation went, but what happened in that moment is I remember going, "Okay, let's talk. You got my attention."
Yeah.
And that began the conversation that I started having a conversation with the Lord that led me to, and there was this deep longing that I was like, I need to go home.
That's why I think that's why he's like, I've thought about that. Obviously, you're the only person that I know of that's heard my name, and like it's been.
It's weird, man, and I've wrestled with it for years. Like I'm like, what does that mean?
well, even
Why?
what
What's it supposed to look like? Why?
Even what our relationship is now, it's certainly not like, like the Lord's done. Yeah, obviously, like I've been a landing spot here, and but what God's done in your life is so far removed from me. You know what I mean? And so like I just wonder if like the Lord just used that as like one little domino to kind of start leading you on this journey that you're still on in some ways.
Oh yeah.
But
absolutely.
Because it's
something that
because it's not like he told. I say that to say it's not like he told me, Justin Allen, get ready.
Get ready.
He's
He's coming.
Because I remember And it was a journey for you to get clear here. Like it was not, that wasn't an instant thing where you.
No, it took a year and a half.
Yeah. And so like a year and a half later though, and then you did come to church and you came, I do remember vividly, like I finished preaching and you know, this guy comes up and like, looks like he just came out of the woods, literally.
I thought he might have shown up on a dog sled team. That's the way this guy looked.
I'm pretty sure it had an axe in his hanging off the belt, a hatchet in the side,
a couple of pine cones in his beard, a bag of dog food.
I'm not exaggerating a lot though. You did have like mucklucks on it.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You were wearing mucklucks.
I just put those away this year. Which, like I did.
So anyway, he's nobody's bugging out. He comes out and he's just like,
yeah.
I heard your name in the Arctic.
And the award for most original way to start a conversation.
I didn't know what to do with it.
Can we talk?
Yeah. Like, I didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah, I could see like if that would be a thing that you didn't know, but that once you figured it out would point you towards home.
That's what I mean.
Which would
by
make
the
it,
domino.
which would make it all the more like if you said your mom, you'd be like, well, yeah, of course I love my mom, right? Or St. John's, like, yeah, that's where I grew up.
But it was like a person I didn't know,
right? But that pointed you to a place,
you
were supposed to go back to, right? Like that. I mean, in hindsight, it makes sense.
It was a good. It was certainly a good name to say that, to point you home.
Yeah.
That you couldn't dismiss as. But I'm just thinking of my mom.
But points you home beyond home to St. John.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like home to the kingdom, right?
It
like
brought me home to the kingdom.
Yeah.
Because it brought me to the doors of this church.
Yeah, because you didn't. Yeah, it wouldn't have been far enough just to come home to see your mom.
Well, no, it wasn't because I got home.
Right.
And I still wasn't living for the Lord.
Right.
I got home and it wasn't enough to get me.
So we don't have time for the whole story, but just to fill people in physically, how did you get from Churchill to here?
Yeah.
So that's
bus, train.
So that's by dog team. Yeah. So I ran my dogs from Churchill all the way to. I ended up we were supposed to just go to New Brunswick, but I decided we went to Fredericton. We landed as far as Fredericton.
And then you couldn't get any further snow wise. Probably.
There was no snow for a long time.
Yeah.
But we went 3,650 odd kilometers.
3,600. So that's the distance from here to
Churchill, Manitoba.
Or like if it's the distance
not
from
by driving.
New York to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Maybe
it's a long way.
It's a long haul.
If you don't know your Canadian geography, bust out a map. Look where Churchill is.
Yeah. It is about maybe, Ron, how far is it to go from New York to LA? I bet you it's about 3,600 kilometers.
It was a long way. So it took 110 days for us to do that. Us, me, the dogs, and I had a support group.
And it's not on the interstate.
That was a craziest
terrain.
Craziest trip.
4,400 kilometers from New York to LA.
So I was about right about Las Vegas. It's about New York to Las Vegas. So
it's just a few hours less
behind the dogs.
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah.
So you get here, and then like tell us a little bit though, because again, like we connected, but you know your conversion story and stuff. Like the Lord's used so many people and so many different things in your life. Like how did that kind of all play out?
Well, so I think that the major thing about it was I couldn't shake this feeling that I had to respond. Like there was like I'm entertaining the Lord and I'm listening and I'm following all the breadcrumbs, and it got to the point where I was like, you can't logically think that this exists and this is happening and then just ignore it.
You have to do something.
I had to respond, and that was that like, okay. So Lord, I don't know what happens tomorrow, but I know that like, if you're real, your word is real, and this is all legit, I have to respond rightly. And that was just a full abandonment of my life. Mm-hmm. So I remember like being in the house and just sitting there going, I've lived every day for myself, every day of my adult life for me, every waking moment, every ability, every skill, every talent, everything I've ever had was for me, for my gain. And I just laid it down. I said, Lord, when I wake up tomorrow, it's all yours.
Beautiful.
And then I woke up in the morning and went, what do we do today? Like, this is like one of those, like,
it was a decision,
whatever you want. And I just decided to let him lead my life. I decided to just give him my life entirely. And then it was the most wildest ride.
I was going to make a joke, and it's been so easy ever since.
Oh, yeah. Definitely not easy, but
beautiful,
though. Wonderful, incredible. Just, I don't even know who that guy is.
Yeah.
You know, that guy is like...
Well, even when I think back on the day I met you at the front of the church, you know, you're bug-eyed and half-fried and like just, you know, and then just what God has done and is doing in your life is... Yeah, it's just fun it's fun and fulfilling to watch, you know, like just, and then with the ministry
tell us just a quick version of the ministry you're building.
You're like, you've got some pretty, you know, again, God's been very gracious to give you some clarity on a few things that you need to have clarity on. And one of them is a real passion for like young adults.
Yeah. Well, and that's what happened that next morning. I remember just basically like journaling and praying and I, you know, hearing from the Lord. And I just felt like the Lord just says, you know, I'm like, what do we do? And I felt like the Lord said to me, Justin, I want you to become the person that you never had. And I want you to create a space that you never had. So in other words, like back when you were 16 and 17 and you didn't like,
you were looking for community. You were looking for people to look up to.
And and there was no godly space for me then.
Right.
In that vicinity. Like, you know, I was at this point where youth group, I was way too cool for youth group when I was 17. 16. I was sneaking into bars. I was just like, it was way, because it was aimed at a younger demographic. And I didn't have older men in my life to tell me Jesus was amazing and awesome and demonstrate it. Wow. And so I said, okay, Lord, well, then I will become that man. So it's like, what was my journey? And still, what is my journey? Not to accomplish anything, but other than to just become the man of God that he has set out and predestined me to be. That's my goal. Become the man of God that he wants me to be. And then the byproduct of that is then hopefully create space for young people, especially young adults, to then encounter God, to have a mentor, someone they can up to and be like, you know,
that's
like
awesome.
Make Jesus... And just get careful. It's like accessible, but also like appealing.
Yeah.
Because I feel like for young people that are looking around, there's like a sense of like, you know, people that they can relate to or look up to.
It's a really tough age, right?
Yeah.
Like, and local churches have a hard time knowing what to do with that, like 17 to 26-year-old gap there. That it's particularly hard.
I mean, 17 to 26-year-olds have a hard time knowing.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Gap, right? Like, because there is that whole like, there's an absolutely a grown-upness, but there's also a not grown up yetness.
Yeah.
And there is, you know, I think that we, as much as there's some great things that have come out of the greater freedom we have in our culture, there is also an unmooredness that happens. Like there was a time when, you know, when you were 18, you bought a suit and you went to work and you know what I mean? Like there was a clear script. And if you didn't fit that script, it could be pretty tough, but at least you knew what you were supposed to do.
Right. Yeah.
And you could.
It's like way more ambiguous now.
You could go get that job and make that paycheck. And like, it was an option. Now it seems like there's 1,000 options and most of them are really hard to actually pull off. And I don't envy folks.
And then where does Jesus fit into all of that?
Which makes what God is doing through you like so important. Like just to have a consistent presence and a space and a time where we just like it's available for that generation to be able to connect with the Lord, with each other. It's massive, and it's really it's starting to really, you know, gain some traction with what you're doing, man.
It is. And I think, and that's the other thing too, getting back to like, why did I hear your name? Like, if it wasn't through the ministry of King's Church, the thing that God put on my heart wouldn't actually be happening. So it took partnership from this house, you know, to be like, okay, we can get in, we can get on board with that vision. And here's some tools and resources. And how can we come behind you to see this thing? Like, that doesn't happen, man. Like there's a testimony to like, you know, the heart of, you know, Brent and the leadership of this church. It's
the kingdom is fun. Yeah. It's fun. Yeah. And like, just even, you know, and I wish we had more time even to maybe connect a bunch of dots in your story. But, you know, there's stuff like, you know, our board of elders praying for God to give us spaces, and then you having a dream and a vision and like a specific, like scary level of connection to a building that we were given by a church that that was dying, and for us to be able to say, here we want this to be the space, and then to have like Pat Gordon, who runs Operation Feed, who you guys connected, and he mentioned you, and we had him in that very seat. It's like, who do I see? Justin Allen, and like in his Honda Civic, praying for people, and he's
Peddling his dog
like
food.
part of his story though was you, and and now that we're able to open space up. At the salt mine facility where he's able to kind of have a launch place. It's just cool, man. The kingdom's
we were
fun.
cracking jokes earlier about the whole mafia thing or whatever, but there is like one of the things I love about the kingdom is that kind of the proverbial smoky back rooms and the conspiracies and the like things that people don't know are connected or integrated or cooperating like that people just see the surface level stuff, but if you could see even those of us who are in leadership, what we're doing behind the scenes, which is only about 10% of the 100% of what God is doing, like that we get to find out about, right?
Right.
Like it's
See
like
the tip of the iceberg.
It's like you're helping to run a conspiracy, that you don't even know the half of, right? That, and all of a sudden, God gives you those little glimpses of like, bro, here's oh my, you were doing this and this and this. Well, we thought we were like we were just told to whatever. We were told to take this shipload of blouses from this blouse factory to that blouse factory. But oh my goodness, like God, you were doing all. It's so cool to see that and be a part of it.
There's a John Tyson quote. I heard him say in a sermon one time. He goes, "How do you word it?" He said, "Like, if you're bored with your faith," he goes, "so's Jesus." It's not meant to be boring. Like it's so exciting. And it's just cool, and you get to be part of what God's doing and how there is a conspiracy and there is someone pulling the strings.
Absolutely.
And it's super fun, man. It's been so cool to just see. Again, I know your story's just getting going too. Is like as far as your ministry component, your story's not just getting going. You're 41 years old, but your ministry and your life, and the Lord's blessed you. With a ministry, you're getting married soon. There's it's a pretty cool stage of life.
The thing I love about what you were sharing too about like kind of what you're trying to do there, and you talked about making Jesus. And I caught you stumble over this word, and I respect that you stumbled over it, appealing to people. Yeah. But I think the thing that's so beautiful about your story and that equips you so well for this is where we so often misstep in ministry is when we think we have to make Jesus appealing as opposed to reveal how appealing he is, right?
Yes.
And you tried all the other options. And God revealed himself to you, and you came to realize this is the most appealing option. And so you have a credibility in that stuff that's not the same thing as like we rebranded Jesus, or we was like, no, I encountered
Smoke
him.
Machine Jesus.
Right. And if you could actually, like, if I can just help you to actually just see him, right? If I can help you to meet the guy who, whatever, sent an angel to take over my girlfriend and talk to me, or the guy who yelled at me while I was on my dog sled, or you know what I mean, the guy who we didn't even get into, the story of how pretty miraculously he freed you from some addictions and that kind of stuff, just zap level stuff, right? That if you can help young adults to see that, you can't help. If I be lifted up, I'll draw all people to me, right? Like,
and that's it. It's walking your faith out, at least for me, in such an authentic, real way that when people look at me, they see Jesus. They don't see fake. They don't see, any performance or any kind of pretending or any like, I'm trying to put on something to like, it's just like, man, I got to get people, this is my job. Get all these young people or anyone that's I'm in contact with in Jesus. That's the only goal in it.
And that's we kind of joked about dog food and other things that you've sold in your life. That's the incredible thing too. Like you don't actually have to sell Jesus,
right?
You just have to show him.
You just see,
right?
Like,
if you can just see this clearly, you can't miss it, man.
Totally,
you can't miss it.
Totally. And you live it like, you like. AJ and I went to Bible college, and we, did the ministry track a different way than you. But one of the things I've known, like this is true for you, it's true for a lot of the guys that are part of our team, like Adam and guys that maybe came in not the front door,
more
but like
scenic route.
I hop through the window or whatever.
The early chapters are more interesting in their book.
There's a a deep love for Jesus and a legitimate, you can't fake it level of surrender.
Yeah.
And with that, we can work with the rest.
Yeah.
You know, we'll work, you know, we're going to build the handles and like, you know, the church polity and all that stuff.
And
that's part of it.
there's such a credibility that comes to that.
100%.
Like,
yeah.
No, I did try everything else.
Yeah.
And trust me, this actually is the best, right?
Yeah.
Like I believe that.
Yeah.
And I've tried enough stuff, you know, but at the same time, there's a level of credibility, I think, that comes, particularly if you're dealing with, you know, my experience with young adults these days, which is not super unique to them, but there is just kind of like okay, what actually works? Yeah. Right? Like what, you know, theories are easy. What works? Yeah. And to be able to go, look, here's my story. Here's the evidence, right? Yeah. To be able to be that testimony of how good God is. It's beautiful, man.
You must love when you get the gift of seeing like a young adult, like see him.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It must fire you up.
Yeah. And it's the thing that keeps me going.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's, you know, I've learned that I've done a lot of things in my life. This is the hardest.
Yeah.
And for sure.
Yeah.
You know, and for multiple reasons, but this has been the hardest job, you know, and it's not, you know, it's not a job, it's a calling. I'd give my life to it. Like I gave my life to it, whether I was getting paid or not. Yeah. It's just a beautiful thing to be able to be on staff. And
you've heard me say this. I'll say it 2, sometimes 3 times a year if it's a really gnarly year, but I'll say that to the staff. Like, just check your calling. Yeah. Cause this is not a safe job to have.
That's right.
Like if this is just a job and just a paycheck, it's going to chew you up and spit you out. Yeah. I do think in the long run, the benefits outweigh the burdens. Yeah. And the blessings outweigh the burdens. Yeah. However, on the day to day, there's many days, weeks, and months where it's like, this is not worth it. Yeah. Can I just have a normal guys? And can I just be a normal Christian?
Well, and that's
the victory
temptation.
is worth the war.
Yeah.
But when you're getting shot at, it doesn't feel like it.
Yes.
But at the victory party, it was all worth it.
Yeah.
But
it's type 2 fun.
Type 2. Yeah.
Now, I'm going to look back one day with the Lord like, it was awesome. But right now, sometimes it's rough.
Yeah.
But
we I think I referenced it with Pat. Like, I don't know how it came up, but talked about that movie Fury.
Oh, yeah.
Me and like Andy and Anthony, a few of us have been around for a while. Mm-hmm. You know, when we get in tough seasons, that movie, there's a line in it where those guys are always saying it's the best job I ever had. Yeah. Like they're almost like talking themselves up into like the fact this sucks, but it's so significant, and so I wouldn't trade it for anything kind of deal. And like we'll sometimes say that like it is. It's and I don't know how to describe it for people like unless you're in it, but there's a weight and a pain that comes in ministry that is unique.
Well, I think for me it's connected to like a fear of the Lord. Like I have a strong sense of like, man, like do not do this lightly. Yeah. Do not take this lightly.
Don't lose it.
Do not coast through this. Do not like, you know, just sit back and get as far as you can, you know, get the most for the least. Like there's this like way I would have functioned in life earlier at another job. Yeah. Get squeezed the most out with the least amount of effort.
Yes.
It's like, man, it's the opposite. And I've been, you know, there's a strong, like the Lord just gently reminds me a lot of the times. Yeah. And it's never out of like, you know, but it's a love. There's this loving invitation to be like, you know, you just, if you're going to do it, do it right and do it well and love the Lord in it, find the joy in it, be with him. Don't like, anyway, but I find that without actual me pressing in and connecting, it's like, I'm connected to the vine. If I'm not connected to the vine, but I may as well go do another job.
Totally.
And I've had that like thought, if I'm not going to do this well, I think I'm better to just leave.
Yeah. And if you don't have a deep sense that the Lord, like the Lord has called me to this and therefore is offering himself to me this way, like I'm in his will. And so I get him in that. If you don't have a deep sense of that, like get out. Cause you're actually bringing on judgment to yourself anyway, right? Like you shouldn't want to be in this. Like you're going to get judged more harshly. Like
that's right.
Don't aspire to this. Can I convince you not to?
This is the only job I never aspired to.
Right.
I remember driving my first day here. I remember just having that car on prayer and I felt the Lord go, this is the first job you've ever had where you've not got it.
Yeah.
And I went, that's so true. I never applied. I never tried. They were just like, I never.
This might weird people
wild.
out, but I have for a long time now, at least probably for the last 6 or 7 years, felt like the sweet spot over the long haul is like, it's I can't imagine not doing this. And most days I can't imagine doing it. Another day.
Yeah, as early as yesterday.
It is a weird.
It's strange.
So weird.
It's strange.
I will say my you wound up at this job because you heard Brent Ingersoll.
Yeah.
I wound up here because I saw Brent Ingersoll.
Okay.
On a text that he sent me offering me a job. Popped right up there on my phone, said, Brent Ingersoll, you got time for a chat? I said yes. The next thing you know.
Yeah.
All right.
We close off our time with Mount Rushmore. And I think it'd be fitting, given the fact that we're all dog people.
Yeah.
You're the doggiest of the dog people here.
You do have a level of credibility.
Of credibility.
I have never been dependent on my dog for survival, which is why I survived.
I'm pretty dependent on mine for emotional survival at this point in my life.
We often say our dog is an emotional support animal. We support her emotions like she couldn't do it without us. But.
Yeah. So we're gonna rank top 4 your Mount Rushmore of dog breeds.
Ooh.
Of dog breeds. So Justin's thinking. Have you had a chance to think?
I'm good. I'm ready.
Okay, I'll let you go first.
All right, here we go. My top 4. I don't know. I can't rank the first 2 in an order because they're the 2 breeds that are in my dog that I absolutely love. I'm going to just go ahead and start with Chihuahua. I love Chihuahuas.
You've been committed.
I think they're hilarious. I think they're adorable. Their uselessness is their primary appeal to me. They're a dog that serves no redeeming function whatsoever. And I feel like if a dog gives something to you, it sort of taints your love. You know, there's a possible transactionalness to your love for that dog. If you love a Chihuahua, it is purely it's like the love of God. You only put in, you don't get anything out, right? So I'm gonna say Chihuahua. Then I'm gonna go Chinese crested.
Oh,
that's what the other half of my little dog Ellie is. So they're a breed that's predominantly hairless. They come in a powder puff and a hairless version. I'm more the hairless one. I love the hairlessness. I think it's, again, hilarious. They're actually, they used to be what's called invalid dogs, which they would just basically be a living hot water bottle. They don't hold heat in, which means they're very warm. They're actually very hot dogs.
So you'd have them for
under your blanket just to keep you warm if you were in a wheelchair, like in that Victorian era or whatever. They were also used as vermin dogs on ships because they don't have hair, so they can't get fleas.
Interesting.
So they wouldn't spread fleas around the ship. Then I'm going to go with Italian Greyhounds.
Wow.
I've never even had nor met an Italian Greyhound, but I think they're adorable. And they have a similar build both to Chihuahuas and Chinese Cresteds that I find.
They're just a big version of it?
They're a smaller version of a regular Greyhound.
Okay.
A little bigger than a Chihuahua. And then I actually am going to go with straight up Greyhounds. We almost got Greyhounds once. The only reason we didn't is you can't let them off leash because they're sight hounds. Okay. So they'll chase a Tim Hortons cup for 5 miles and have no clue how to get home. They can't smell their way back home. But I think they're beautiful. I don't. There's that build, that like
very fast. Probably the fastest dog.
Basically, I like dogs that are small and skinny. So the opposite of me or most anyone in my family.
Most people get dogs that they start to look like
their
dog.
I'm going the exact opposite. I'm the smaller, nakeder, the better.
If you looked at my family, you'd say golden retriever.
You do have a bit of a golden retriever family. And here's the thing, I mean that a little bit as an insult. What's the basic? Just kidding.
Yeah,
no.
Suburban white family.
No, it does. And you know what? Honestly, golden retrievers are amazing dogs. I got nothing against them other than how big and hairy they are.
Yeah, hey. My dog's getting fat right now, by the way. He's
put him on that carnivore diet. Have you tried feeding him a Nook Shook?
I have. That's all he's eating. What do you got, Justin?
You could try feeding him one of Justin's earlier products. I hear they're great for weight loss. You're gonna have to walk them more.
Top four dog breeds.
Top 4
by the mountain man himself. Also, you could have 2 different times got cast on alone.
Yeah,
Like,
they reached
not
out
to do it.
Reached out to me twice, and I chose
The whole other story.
to not do it. But that's a whole other thing.
I gotta hear that one.
Yeah.
Top 4.
So yeah, Alaskan Huskies, top.
Given.
Just has to be.
No question.
No question.
Number 2,
Number
also
2,
Alaskan Husky.
well, we go Siberian Huskies.
Okay.
So I got to go because
I couldn't tell you the difference. Is the Siberian bigger?
It's purebred versus mixed.
Okay.
Yeah. So Siberians are purebred. They
What's
are
the
typically
Alaskan
the blue
mixed?
eyes.
What is it, other than the fact that they're dog sledders?
Yeah.
Like, what is the cool thing about Huskies? Just pound for pound power?
Pound for pound power. They're for me, it's this. There's still their ability to function within a pack. So the way that they think and process,
They're still
and the way they
wolfy?
relate to, they still have they're still much more connected pack mentality. All dogs are,
Yeah.
but like there's just a sense of well,
I have a dog who has no sense of pack.
but like
She has staff,
Yeah.
and that's it.
they want to. I guess the way that they want to work together. For me,
cool.
that's the thing. It's the ability to like have like a unwritten conversation in your mind through body language with those dogs,
It's-
to
it's-
accomplish something.
It's really bad as well to see them like just sleeping in -30.
Oh yeah.
Happy as can
It's the
be.
coolest thing. Like they're just like no problem.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And doesn't that helps? I've cuddled dogs on 35 below nights for sure. It's like
Like you do.
big pile, just jump
gonna
in
say, for
together.
you
They
more
keep
than
you
them.
warm, eh?
Oh yeah.
I bet.
Absolutely.
Can you
So-
find 2 more breeds?
Yeah, I would say.
Are there 2 more kinds of
Yeah,
husky?
it's like this was the thing, and now basically I don't care about any other dogs. No,
You love them all.
I
but-
do love.
You're a dog guy.
I do love dogs. I would say.
And you have a way with them too.
Yeah.
Like you've been in the pack. You can tell.
Once you learn the language,
Yeah.
when you learn the language, you understand the way a dog's psychology works, the way they think. Yeah, you can.
You a Caesar Milan guy?
Yeah, I like Caesar.
Yeah.
That whole alpha thing's
yeah.
so real.
Oh, it is 100%. Yeah. But I would say if I had to, I'm going to say 4 dogs, but in 2 categories. Because I can't. So for me, it's the next would be the labs and retrievers together. And then after that, I would go to like healers and collies.
Yeah.
So like herding dogs.
Cool.
So those.
So basically any dog but mine.
Yeah. If they're a working dog, and
My dog's working pretty hard for treats.
Honorable mention to the Great Dane.
yeah.
Those 2 dogs on The Patriot. Ever see that movie, The Patriot, with Mel Gibson?
Familiar with it. I didn't
but-
see the movie.
Oh, it's a great movie. But there's this like British.
That would be you should get a Great Dane.
I looked at them.
That would be very on brand.
Before
for
I didn't though, because they don't live long. I didn't want my kids to still be kids, and like, ideally so.
Yeah.
Because that was what I was looking at those. I was looking at the Bernese Mountain Dog as well. Same thing. They don't live long.
Yeah.
So,
Nice dogs, though. We had friends who had
beautiful
Bernese.
dogs. So I'm going Golden Retriever.
Yep.
Number 1. Yellow Lab. Chocolate Lab.
Where are
Black
Where are
Lab.
labs from?
Lab.
A Labrador.
No,
I don't know.
Newfoundland.
Newfoundland. Oh.
They had the Newfoundland dog already, so when they started breeding those, they named them Labradors, but it was actually on the island.
I'll go with all the labs, all the
like it.
different colors of labs.
All right. Yeah.
Chocolate,
black, and yellow. Yeah.
What are you ranking them in an order?
No. Like take it. They're just all there.
Just the Ganong's chocolate box of all the different flavors
the
of lab.
assortment
The
labs.
lab assortment.
Yeah.
All sorts.
Awesome. Yeah, dude. Thank you. It's been fun.
Yeah.
It's
So
really
good to
fun.
talk
It's
to you
been a
guys.
good episode.
Appreciate it.
Nothing left to do but
Now we dance.
we dance.